Hi, everyone. Hi, Denise. Hi, everyone who's joined. My name is Rochelle Nigro. I am chair of ANC 6E. Welcome to our October meeting. Happy fall, y'all. It's fall now, so happy October. We're going to start our meeting promptly at 6:30. So this is a Zoom webinar. So I have two co-hosts, co-host Ed and co-host Marcus. What will happen is they act as my bouncers. If something's verbally offensive, if you're on the screen and you're offensive, you simply will be removed from the meeting. Okay, so just be aware of that. And Ed and Marcus will remove people and you will not be let back in. Okay, so we are recording the meeting. If you don't want your image recorded, if you don't want your voice recorded, and you're going to be speaking with us, I suggest that you leave this meeting. Okay, because we are recorded, and then I put it up on YouTube after. Okay, so if you do want to speak with us, when I ask for public comments, Ed will move you over on or mute you. Ed and Marcus will do that for me, and then you can talk to us. Okay, if you have questions. For video, if you're on video, you can just use the raise your hand feature. Okay, if you're on the phone with us, we do have a phone number. You press *9 and you'll be able to, we'll see the raise your hand. Okay. So just a couple minutes. We're at 6:30. There's Kevin. Kevin, can I unmute yourself, please?
There we go.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So let me see where Frank is here.
Charlie's on the other side. I'm moving him over.
Okay, everyone, welcome. We'll be starting in a minute. I'm Commissioner Nigro, chair of the commission. I have two co-hosts tonight, co-host Ed and co-host Marcus. They act as bouncers for the meeting. If something is, you say something verbally offensive or something on the screen that's offensive, you will be removed from the meeting and you will not be let back in. Also, this meeting is being recorded, right, Ed? I pressed it? Yes, okay. I'll remember to press the button. The meeting is being recorded, and so if you do talk with us, just keep in mind that your image can be recorded and your voice will be recorded, and I throw it up on YouTube. So if you do not want your image, voice recorded, leave this meeting. Okay. All right. So I have to apologize for people who have Zoomed in with us before, especially last month. We had a very long meeting. So this month, I'm cutting people off, folks, so get ready. So be pointed with your questions, be pointed with your statements, all of our presenters, and I'm including the commissioners, okay? We are not gonna have, and I take the bullet for last month, it was long. So we do not want a long meeting this time. Okay, Alex, go ahead and begin.
Calling roll for ANC 6E, 6E01.
Present.
6E02, present. 6E03.
Present.
6E04.
Here.
6E05.
Present.
6E06.
Present.
6E07.
Present.
Madam Chair, we have 7 out of 7 commissioners. We have a quorum to conduct business.
Fantastic, and I'm going to show the agenda here. Thank you, Alex. So we did have one quick add-on, you guys. Don't hate me now. So it is approval for a street closure for the Shaw Library. I put it down here, number 12, but Alex, I think we got everything right. We have the S Street, Alex. That's number 8. Is everything on here, you guys? Yes,
I saw something about Capitol Vista. Is
they're
that?
down here. They're here, Karen, right there.
Oh, there they are. Sorry.
There.
Okay.
Commissioners? Hello?
Yeah, looks good. I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, great. Okay, so let's first go to MPD. So Ed, we are looking for Captain Small, Captain Duro, either of the commanders might be here. Please raise your hand, Commander Kim, Commander McLean. I see a lieutenant here, Ed. Hi, Lieutenant. I see Captain Small too, Ed. So Lieutenant, are you with 1D? Is that correct?
Yes, hey,
Okay.
I'm Lieutenant Donegan from 1D.
Okay, great. Why don't you go ahead and begin for everyone in the audience? This is 1D. This is the area below New York Avenue. So Lieutenant, I ask that you be brief and pointed in your presentation. Oh, hi, Captain.
Sounds good.
Okay, great.
For the area south of New York of 6E, overall crimes down compared to the same 30 days last year, crimes down 27%. So pretty good trend. However, we did have 5 violent incidents in the last month as far as ADWs go. Fortunately, no homicides and no robberies, but the 5 ADWs. There was a stabbing that occurred in the parking garage of the Walmart. A parking dispute turned into a stabbing where victim was non-life threatening and the suspect was arrested on the scene. There was a gun brandishing that occurred in the 1200 block of North Capitol on September 18th. Verbal altercation, and suspect pointed a gun at the victim, but the victim wasn't actually physically harmed. That case is still open. There was a shooting on September 19th in the 1100 block of First Place Northwest. That was 4 people in a sedan, drove up, hopped out of the car, unfortunately fired a lot of rounds, did strike someone, non-life threatening, has had several surgeries, but hopefully will physically recover. That case is still open. There's some video and images out for the public to help identify. There was a ADW knife, like a brandishing of sorts, that occurred inside the 7-Eleven on K Street on September 26th. That person was arrested. It was a shoplifting gone bad. And then there was a stabbing on October 2nd at 5th and I Northwest, where 2 people that seemed to have known each other were in an argument earlier in the day, and then the suspect, I guess, found the victim a little bit later on out on the streets. And that one hopefully will be closed soon with identifying who the suspect was.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lieutenant. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Where's Kevin? Kevin, Denise, Patrick?
Yes, I have a question for Lieutenant Donegan, Commissioner Blackson. I wanted to know, where can we view the video of the shooting in the 1100 block of First Place?
That's a good question. I believe that we put out still images of the suspects. I'll confirm that, and then I will email you with that directly, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, Kevin or Patrick? You're okay. Kevin, any questions? No? Okay, any of the other commissioners have questions for 1D for the lieutenant? No? Okay. All right, I'm going to open up to the audience. This is for Lieutenant. This is for the 1D area south of New York Avenue. So if you have a question for Lieutenant, use the *9 if you are on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature. This is for 1D for MPD. Any questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, we don't have any questions. Okay, Lieutenant. Thank you. That was good. Brief and pointed.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, now we're going to go to Captain Small. This is 3D. Go ahead and mute yourself, Captain Small. This is for the
Hey there, how
area.
are you?
Hey, this
Can
is
you
for
hear
the area that, yep, we can hear you. This is for the area above New York Avenue. I ask that you be pointed and brief in your presentation tonight.
No problem. I'm sure you have some questions for me. Overall, in the area as a whole for the district, crime increased by 9%, which is not great, but it is a relatively small. However, in the area in particular that we're talking about today, robberies have gone down by 21%, and our thefts from autos have decreased by 16%. We've had numerous arrests for theft from auto in particular, put a lot of emphasis on that and have had some success and some good cases that are going. A lot of that has come from working with community members that are using video cameras and getting us that information. So I really want to keep that up because it's helping us to make some great cases. For the violent crime, the majority that's been driven by domestic violence. 3 of the 4 most recent cases have all been closed. So that accounts for a large increase, the largest increase in our violent crime that we have had in that area there. Other than that, I wanted to point out that once again, for the increases, for the vast majority of our stolen vehicles that we have, it is coming from opportunistic thefts where folks are unfortunately leaving vehicles running for a variety of reasons and somebody hops in the car and steals it. So that's one of the things we're really working on, trying to address that and getting people to turn their cars off and take their keys with them. Other than that, I'll be ready to answer questions whenever your group is ready for that.
So I have some questions. So I need some updates, if at all. I mean, I know you guys we talk back and forth continually, but
Sure.
What about the carjacking, the armed robbery, any sort of update, any update for my area, anything?
Those are all open cases that we're working on right now. All of the videos that we have, if we do have them available, are posted on the MPD YouTube page as well as on Twitter and on either some links on the Instagram there. Those are all open, active cases. The majority of those are lately seem to be situations where you have Uber drivers and different types of food delivery drivers that are coming through the area and fall victim to those crimes there. They are open, they are being investigated, and other than the stuff that's been put on the official press releases or on the YouTube page and Twitter for public dissemination, that's the extent of the updates that I have right now on those.
Okay. And I want to thank you. I saw one of your officers on the corner of 4th and M getting the one-way drivers today.
We've got a couple of really good traffic enforcement officers. They've been hitting up a lot of those locations. We do have a lot, so we kind of have to do it on a rotating basis to give everybody a little bit of attention and make sure that the whole district is getting that taken care of. But I'm glad to hear that people are seeing them out there.
I saw them and I talked to them today. All right, commissioners, any other questions for Captain Small, Alex, Michael, Frank?
Captain Small, on Friday, September 17th at about 8:18 p.m., there was a hit and run at the intersection of 5th and S Street Northwest where a pedestrian was injured and taken to a hospital in an ambulance. Do you have any updates on whether the driver has been identified or anything you could share with us?
As of yet, that's still under investigation. Every district has a hit and run coordinator who handles all those investigations. So that's one of the ones that's being worked on right now. They are always out looking for more evidence that might be available, especially these days. There's always video of something somewhere. So that's part of it. If anybody in the neighborhoods comes across someone who happens to have some video, it could be very helpful with that, but it is open and actively being worked on.
Okay, and I have another question. I frequently get emails from my constituents about ATV drivers, dirt bike drivers, and their main concern is that they're coming around really late at night and keeping them up. I kind of know that you're requesting people to call 911. Is there any to report them? Is there any other guidance? What's the latest in terms of what you recommend for residents who are, have dirt bikes in their neighborhood? And
we're always open
to Avenue.
We're always open to taking that information. There's another neighborhood nearby that we have got some information that's helping us to work on some individuals that might be stashing the vehicles in certain locations, so we can try to, at an absolute minimum, recover those vehicles that are out there that people are kind of stashing them, and then they hop on them so they can take off and go cause havoc throughout the weekend. And it's gotten to the point where a lot of the people that are doing that, they know that we're actively looking for those vehicles, so they're always trying to find like a place to hide them. And whenever we get those tips from citizens, we always use that follow up. If we have a situation where we can take some sort of action and recover them, we always do. But those photos and those videos and those tips are always helpful to us, and we really do welcome that. It is a very difficult thing for us to tackle, so we're really trying everything we possibly can. I've been working extensively with some of the other DC government agencies to try to get them a little more involved and to assist us with some of those investigations, because we are somewhat limited in the way that we traditionally do policing when it comes to these vehicles. So we're really trying to find anything we can that's outside the box to address them and try to get some relief for everybody involved.
Great. Thank you, Captain. All right, Michael or Frank.
Yeah, I'll just want to thank the captain real quickly for the efforts of 3D for working with the community here in 6001, especially the French Street neighbors, for assisting with the theft from vehicles. We've had a huge rash of break-ins. Multiple cars of individuals have actually been broken into multiple times, like day after they get the glass fixed, they're broken into again. So thank you so much for working with the community here to pursue this seriously. We feel heard. Thanks.
We appreciate that. And we have probably made, I think, between 4 and 5 of those cases recently. Some of them are really good cases. And a lot of that, like I've said, comes from people in the neighborhood that have cameras and they give us the information. We made a great case on that last week, where it was all because of footage, and that person was held for a little bit longer than normal by the U.S. Attorney's Office because they have a lot of other legal issues that are relatively serious. And little things like that really do go a long way. I know folks like to have crime cameras and such put in their neighborhoods, but there's restrictions on where we can put them, for one, because of all sorts of different bureaucratic issues. And even when we do put them someplace, they are going to be in that location usually for no more than about 14 days before they need to be moved somewhere else for whatever the reason might be, which is really where these privately owned cameras come into play and are so valuable, because as long as it's on a person's private property, nobody needs any permission to put it there. They can move them around however they see fit. They can talk with us and find locations that might be a little bit better than others, even just a little adjustment to a camera. And you really avoid any kind of extra stuff that kind of slows that process down. And when we get that footage, it can really make or break a lot of cases for us.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Frank, anything?
None at this time.
Okay, very good. All right, community members, this is for Captain Small 3D, the area that is above New York Avenue. If you have a question, please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 if you're on the phone. Any questions for Captain Small, MPD 3D? Okay, anything? Okay, going once, going twice, going 3. No questions, Captain Small. That's almost a miracle here. I can't quite believe it. All right, Captain, we thank you very much. And if anyone does have a question later, Captain Small is very accessible, as is the lieutenant. So you can always reach out to MPD. They're very accessible. Thanks, Captain.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, so next we have from the mayor's office, we have Talib. Are you with us, Talib, tonight? Use the raise your hand feature. Ed will move you over. Ed. Talib. Oh, there is. Okay, Talib. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
I don't have any really immediate updates other than, we've had a couple incidents that's happened with the encampments. We know there's, changes are being made, especially with New Jersey and Old Street. We know
And Talib, we have a whole presentation about that. So what else you got?
So I want to keep it precise and as you pointed, as you said.
Yep.
So I don't want to regurgitate the same thing, but that's pretty much the only immediate thing that we have from our office that we're currently working on in this S&D. The New Jersey and O incident.
Okay, and we thank you for your assistance, especially this morning. I saw you. Okay. All right, commissioners, any questions for Talib? No? No? Okay. All right, public, this is for Talib. He is with the mayor's office. He is our liaison for Ward 6. If you have any questions, press *9 if you're on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature. Anyone got any questions for Talib? Wow. I guess people heard my voice and we're gonna make it a short meeting as I say this now. Okay, everyone. Oh, Frank, that way. Go ahead, Frank.
Well, I just want to take the time to thank Talib. He and I met earlier this month or in September, and the issues that he and I talked about as far as sidewalk repair got repaired by DDOT. So I was very thankful for that because some of it was a trip hazard. It was a sinkhole on the sidewalk on the 1100 block of 6th Street. So those sinkholes got repaired. So I was very thankful. I just want to say thank you to him for helping me get that result.
Thank you, Commissioner Wiggins. Anytime.
Thanks, Talib. Thanks, Frank. All right, Talib, thanks very much for zooming in. We'll see you next month or on the street. All right, next we have from Councilmember Allen's office, Naomi Mitchell. Naomi, press, there she goes. Press *9, okay. Did you see her? Okay, Naomi.
No, now I'm here.
There you are. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. So just a couple of quickies. As some of you probably noticed, the old Sursum Quarter replacement building is well up and on its way. It was topped off this past week, and it has a new branded name of Banner Lane. So that will be a new complex that will be mixed income. All of the former residents are able to come back, plus an additional group of people who will be between mid-income and higher income. The biggest thing that's going on right now is, of course, the redistricting of the council wards. The council chairman named Russell Silverman, along with two other at-large members, Anita Bonds and Catherine Henderson, to be the subcommittee to divide the current census data into equal number relatively of residents in each of the 8 wards. The real impact, of course, is on Ward 6 because we're about 20,000 more people than anybody else. And so we've got to come down to about 89, 90,000 so that everybody's about the same. So there's a couple wards that are low that obviously are going to have additional residents, and they happen to be 7 and 8. But there are all kinds of things can be shifted between 5 getting additional ones, and some of that move to other wards. So nothing is a given, but there is a schedule, and the census data has now been provided to the council. And so the first hearing on that was held last week. The first council hearing, the first vote on the 5 on the full count by the full council on the ward recommendations will happen December 7th. And then it takes a second vote for that to happen. So December 21st, the final vote on what the ward distributions will be held by the council. Then about February, the ward task forces, they'll have to do task forces to look at each of the wards' interior breakout. That is, the ANC small single member districts have to be dealt with in a similar balancing method. In those cases, it's possible that there will be people who are residents in the ward who will be part of those task forces under supervision of the subcommittee. And they'll report out their recommendations in February, and the council will vote on the final ANC boundaries in June. So this normally would have started in April, would have been done with it by about September, October, but the census data was held up for a number of months, pushing everything else that we're doing up. There's a lot of angst between people of who's gonna lose what, you know. Shaw, we gained last time, do we keep it? You know, in Ward 6 next time, we lost some to Ward 7, to Ward 7 last time, do we lose more? So anyway, keep posted.
Okay.
I can't think of anything else. I'm not gonna talk about the encampment zones. Everybody, as you said, knows more than they want to know.
We have a presentation up next, so they're next.
I'm not going to speak to that. So I think unless somebody has some other questions, those are the two big things that are on the table.
Okay, and just to let you know, I had Councilmember Silverman's office reach out to me yesterday, and they're probably going to Zoom in next month. So that'll be coordinated. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, commissioners, any questions for Naomi?
I think I don't have my hand on it, but I think December 2nd is the Ward 6 hearing on zoning. Go ahead.
And we will blast that out. Okay, Alex.
Yeah, we'll get it for you.
December 2nd. Okay.
Alex.
Naomi, I know that Councilmember Nadeau and Councilmember Lewis George have both publicly expressed great concern about yesterday's violence that happened at the Noma encampment. Councilmember Allen has been rather silent on this issue. Is he doing anything to work with the MHHS to revise protocols so that we don't experience that type of violence at New Jersey and O Street on November 4th?
Well, again, this is the mayor's initiative. That's who's responsible.
I realize that, but Councilmember Allen has...
He's expressed his great concern with what happened there, and that's totally unacceptable. I don't know that he can tell the mayor what lessons they should have learned as they go forth. I think that's obvious that they understand that was a gross mistake and shouldn't happen again. Now, the no zone issue is an entirely different issue, which I'm not prepared to speak to. I mean, once
Okay.
well, what could be said at this point when the intent is to get the people in their house now? There could be an unending number of people who could continue to be in that line, and maybe that'll happen. But at this point, it's a pilot program that's only addressing 3 of the sites. But I believe there's plenty of housing that can be further provided after these 3 pilots. If it works out, it makes sense that can happen. As you know, there are a number of people who don't want to be housed, and what happens there is not clear. Okay. I know you're adamant about all this, so I appreciate your thoughtfulness.
Okay, and any other questions from the commissioners for Naomi before I open up to the public? Nope.
Good.
Oh, wait, you got, we're open to the community, Naomi, hold on, hang tight. So any questions? Naomi Mitchell, she is with Charles Allen's office. She is our council member. If you're on the phone, press *9 or use the raise your hand feature if you have a question for Naomi. Anyone have any questions? It's a non-question night, apparently.
They want to get home early.
Well, they're already home.
That's right.
All right, Naomi, we thank you for your time, and we'll see you next month.
I'll be with you the rest of this meeting. I'll be listening.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Super. All right.
If you need to come back to me.
Okay. So thanks, Naomi. All right, so we're going to move Naomi out. Ed will move in. This is the next topic. We are actually going to be now talking about the pilot program for the Deputy Mayor's Office of Health and Human Services. So the New Jersey Avenue and O Street encampment is in my area, my single member district. So tonight they're going to talk about the pilot program. So Ed will move over. The Deputy Mayor, Wayne Turnage, I saw him. Jamal Weldon. I'm not sure if Jessica Smith is on, but I know that Sienna Creighton is on, Ed. So Ed will move them over in a second. There's Jamal. And I think she was here. Sienna, was she there? Maybe she's not anymore. Sienna, if you're in the room. Ms. Creighton, if you're in the audience, press *9 or use the raise your hand feature. Here she is. Okay, I got her. Okay. All right, Deputy Mayor, Ms. Creighton, and Mr. Weldon, welcome to our meeting. This, as we all know, the commissioners, myself, all of my constituents. This is both inside and outside of the park, because I represent the constituents inside the park. Everyone on the call, this is a very important issue. So if you'd like to begin your presentation, you'll then take questions from the commissioners and then from the community. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor. Welcome. Thank you for zooming in.
Thank you, Commissioner. I am joined by Jamal Weldon, who runs the camping program very ably, and my chief of staff, Deanna Creighton. My role here tonight will be largely to answer questions. Jamal will give you all an overview of what our plans are for New Jersey and O, and certainly we can answer any questions about the work that's been done so far in NOMA. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jamal and have him give you all a quick overview of what's next for New Jersey and O Street.
Good afternoon, good evening, Commissioner, and to all present. Again, my name is Jamal Weldon, the Program Manager for the Encampment Response Program at DMHHS and lead for the Encampment Pilot Program. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to present this evening and to address any questions that may be forthcoming. As many have already been made aware, the CARE pilot program has been assigned has selected three sites. The NOMA encampments, which is connected with L and M Street Northeast, New Jersey Avenue and O, and the 21st and E Street location. Now, in regards to New Jersey Avenue and O, current engagement is still ongoing with the residents at that particular location and began on the 20th of September. There are currently 32 names out of the residents present on that by name list. 48 residents total, 16 of which are not on the by name list, meaning that those are 16 residents that have migrated to that particular location following the beginning of the pilot program and engagement. What is taking place there and at all of these sites under the pilot program is daily and consistent case management from the coverage area provider. For New Jersey Avenue and O, this would be Pathways to Housing with the support of DHS and DMHHS to be able to support these residents who are agreeing to participate with obtaining immediate housing resources and services. Now, those immediate resources and services are assisting them with immediate document readiness, matching them in a quick fashion to various available units, conducting the inspection of those units, and ultimately the lease up of those units after the resident has been matched. Once the resident is matched and leased up into that particular unit, ongoing case management will still continue to be able to match them to their permanent housing subsidy, which will be either permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, or a similar subsidy as eligible for that particular resident. Once that takes place, then the subsidy provider connected to that will assign a permanent case manager, in which case ongoing services will continue as needed by that particular resident. Were there any questions in regards
100%.
to the pilot program? I know we've had information publicly released for quite some time, but I don't want to restate too much that the public or those present may already know. Any specific questions that can be answered?
So I actually do have, since this is my single member district, Mr. Weldon. So have the residents that are there that were on the point in time list, have they all been informed that they're on the list, they're going to get housing? Have you been able to capture all those people?
So for those that are on, again, the by name list assigned to that particular pilot site, those residents have been informed, or the majority of them. There are still some residents that we're working to establish some consistent engagement with. However, those engagement attempts are being attempted on a daily basis.
So yeah, because I'm aware that you are there every day. Just want to make sure that they've been touched base with, but you're saying yes.
Correct. Yes, there are daily attempts to make sure that all are not only engaged and made aware of their status on the by name list, but also being engaged again to ultimately connect them to the immediate services that are rendered throughout this program.
Okay, because the residents I've been able to speak with there have acknowledged that you have been present, your team has been present. I do hope it goes well. On behalf of my constituents that are in the park and my constituents that are outside the park, we are for this program working out. But as you know, and you're very familiar with my emails now, as is the deputy mayor, that you need to be in touch with me about what is happening. It is unacceptable that I'm not informed, not that you haven't, and you've been very informative, as has the deputy mayor. But you know, what happened yesterday at the NOMA encampment causes some concern. So, you know, this is a project management, as I read your email yesterday, that this project be managed correctly and be managed safely on behalf of the people that are in the park.
I'm in agreement with everything that you're stating. And again, we have had frequent engagement, as you stated as well, and we'll continue to have it throughout the duration of this pilot and even ongoing for any issues within your coverage area.
Okay, very good. Because I will reach out to you there. And the deputy mayor, right? They're quite familiar with me now. And I just met Miss Creighton on the phone last night. And so just to let everyone know on the call, there was a horrible tragedy in the encampment last night. We did have a death and a fire. It is currently being investigated. And for, that is another unfortunate death, another awful fire. And so my constituents, both inside and outside the park, we need this encampment, we need this program to work, and we need this encampment and the park renovation to move forward. And you're working closely with the Park Service, right, Mr. Weldon? Right, Deputy Mayor?
That is correct. And just to add to that, upon receiving notice last night of the incident that took place, we immediately coordinated the mobilization of services from our offices and our outreach team to actually engage with the residents present, along with FEMS. I definitely want to thank them for leading the fire and safety awareness engagement that took place this morning around 10 a.m. with all the residents present. The purpose of that engagement was to, again, bring about continued awareness. And I want to be clear that this is not the first engagement we've had with this site regarding the various use of grills or propane tanks or anything that may cause a fire or safety issue within the tents and or encampment as a whole. During that particular engagement, residents were very accepting of that engagement and of the awareness presented by FEMS. They did state that they would work to make the necessary changes to, again, not have such a tragedy or incident happen again within their respective tents. And we're also in collaboration with the Department of Behavioral Health to, in the next 24 to 48 hours, mobilize some additional services for trauma and crisis management for any of the residents who may be in need.
Right, so I was there last night. It was horrific. So, and we pray for the person that passed away. It was just awful, 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 awful. And so, as I said in my emails last night and this morning, I am seeking on behalf of everyone a specific date for the moving forward of this program and for the with the park renovation and the fence and all that, so I can communicate that out to my constituents, and that there be further safety measures, because that was horrible yesterday. So, but I thank for the fire department, MPD, and for everyone who came back this morning and last night. Okay, other commissioners? Alex?
I have a couple questions. It's been previously reported that the park at New Jersey and O Street would close on November 4th, but we also had word from DPR that they were going to give 30 days notice. I want to note that today is 30 days from November 4th. Can you provide any update about that schedule?
Right now, that particular date is tentative. We will again work with DPR to make sure that duly timely notice that has been given, or will be given rather, to the community and constituents. And the reason that that date is tentative at this time, we want to ensure that, again, should there be any barriers present for the residents there that may negatively impact their ability to get housed, just as those in the no main encampments, if there is a need for, say, example, an additional set of days and or a week extension, we want to ask for the support and allow for that to take place as needed. We don't want to have these residents dispersed throughout the city prematurely. We want to make sure that all those attached to the by name list and those who are eligible services receive them, and that we're able to work with them through any barriers that may be present.
Okay. I think that Commissioner Nigro said that information is really important, and I thank you for letting us know that 32 residents of the park are on the by name list. 16 do not qualify for the pilot. How will you continue to communicate this information with the public and the ANCs? I think that one of the biggest shortcomings of this pilot to date has been a lack of information sharing between DMHHS and in the community. And I think that, you know, as we approach, especially as we approach the closure date, these types of this data is going to be increasingly important.
Well, in regards to the further communication of this program, we are currently working collaboratively with the agency of DHS to be able to put together a dashboard for public consumption of said information. That dashboard will be one that is posted on our website, and that will just give various updates of statistical nature for the public consumption and anyone that has questions. Now, in regards to any form of stakeholder engagement, such as our various commissioners, council members, and so forth, again, as Commissioner Nigro stated earlier, I have always made myself available since being in this role to be able to address and or answer any questions within the information that we have current. And if there's any information outstanding, we'll work to get that and communicate it effectively. If there are any questions specifically that you might have, again, the deputy mayor and the entire agency has made ourselves available for engagements such as this to be able to provide additional clarification and or informational updates as requested.
Thank you. Excuse me. So another question, you know, one of my biggest concerns about this pilot has been the, you know, the permanent closure of the 3 pilot locations. It seems to me that provides a punitive ultimatum, a kind of a coercive decision. You either take housing or we kick you out. Given the experience yesterday in Noma, where there were a number of residents at that encampment that either did not qualify for housing or did not accept the housing that was offered. And given that we know that 1 out of 3 residents of the New Jersey and O Street encampment will not qualify for this pilot, how, you know, what's the thinking about closing the New Jersey and O Street encampment and forcing at least 16 residents to relocate during hypothermia season? That's kind of the first question. And secondly, how do we avoid just having a similar situation is a really ugly and violent situation like we had it at Noma yesterday.
Well, let me say, first of all, the description of the incident at Noma yesterday as violent is not an accurate description. Violence, as I understand it, is defined as the use of physical force to intentionally injure or hurt someone. That was not the case yesterday. There was no intent to injure anybody. It was an awful mistake. It was a mistake made after the tent was checked several times. And the resident was either overlooked or he came back in the tent after staff walked away to begin the process. I think it's important to note that the resident was not hurt. We asked that he go to the hospital. After leaving the hospital, his brother was out there. His brother had his belongings. He had a hotel assignment after coming out of the hospital, and he has an apartment in which he will be placed. So to describe that as a violent act is a gross misinterpretation of what happened. It was a tragic mistake that fortunately did not end in injury to the resident. So I just want to make that clear. If we're going to use of term,
So
there's
Alex,
conflicting reporting about the injury.
Alex, we're going to move on.
That's
Alex,
truthful.
Alex, we're going to let him
what is
finish, and then we're going to
truthful
move on to the other commissioners. Go ahead,
what
Deputy
is
Mayor.
truthful is there was no attempt to injure anybody, which is the definition of violence. That's not what we were trying to do. And for you to characterize it that way is just inappropriate. So that's not, or certainly not accurate.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, we're going to move on to the other commissioners, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Commissioner Nigro, I would request that my question get answered. I had
He
two parts
answered
to
your
that question.
question.
One, he did not answer my question. The first part
Alex.
is, how do we avoid a situation like what happened in Noma yesterday at New Jersey and O? And the second part is, how do we justify kicking at least 16 people out of the encampment during hypothermia season?
So Deputy Mayor, would you please answer Alex briefly?
I will answer those questions. We have, Jamal is working with his team to make sure that the additional protocols that we put in place will be executed if there's ever any use of heavy equipment to move materials, to make sure that incident like that does not happen again. As for the notion of closing the encampments after we offer the people on the by name list housing, that will not change. That is the goal of the pilot, to see what happens when you can offer people housing first. For those who are not on the by name list, we have expanded, as we do every hypothermia season, we greatly expand the capacity of the city to take care of people who are not already in shelter, hotels, or housed. And we will do that again this year. We've already done the modeling to figure out how many additional beds we will need during hypothermia season. And that information has already been baked into the administration's planning as we approach hypothermia season. So nobody is being pushed out into the cold. We're actually taking people out of the cold.
That's not true.
Okay, Alex, we're going to move on to the other commissioners. Okay, we're going to give everyone else a chance. All right. So Kevin.
Deputy Mayor, you did not answer my question, and that is
Alex,
not
Alex, we're going to give the other commissioners a chance. Okay, let them have a chance. Kevin. No, Kevin's going to Denise. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Denise.
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I'm still trying to learn how to work this little machine.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I'm using my phone. That's why it's so kind of hard.
That's all right.
Yeah, but I heard everybody, and it's devastating for them people, right? Especially the tents. And I heard about the young man that got scooped up by the bulldozer. It must have been very frightening for him. But I'm gonna tell y'all something about me. This commission don't know. In 1988, I became homeless. I came up here in Northwest, where I started out learning how to live on the streets. I lived on these streets for 2 years. And believe it or not, with all the mental sicknesses going on out here, it was way, it was way much more than what it is, what it is now. We didn't have much help. We did have programs like Reverend Hines Church, Psalms, DC General, you know, and those are places that we can advocate too, right, for shelter. You know, I didn't have a tent. I had to sleep on park benches, you know, where the rats ran up underneath me, you know, and people ask me, how do you make it? Well, they had program. Murray had a lot of programs out here. You know, we had programs. What was one of them? I can't think of this. The name is Armstrong. You know, we had an educational for a program for the adults, right? It was Armstrong, I remember, and he had a lot of programs, right? Infrastructure programs, right? To kind of help the homeless, right? Because a lot of them was out there, right? Didn't have no sense or no direction of which way they was gonna go. My life turned into turmoil for about 2 years out there, and I know it's real rough. You know, I found me a home in 1990. You know, where I live not too far from that home today. But what I see out there in that street is a lot of mental sickness. St. Elizabeth housed a program over there, right, for the mentally insane and mental people that had mental health problems. You know, all the programs have been cut out. You know, you got people wandering around, don't know which way they're going. They need to be on medication, and it's sad. You know, and another thing, I'll say this in short. I believe it would be a big help if you put some of them programs back, because a lot of those programs got demolished right when Marion Barry came out of office. You know, and I think those programs need to be put back into this into society. It would help a whole lot. You know, especially the work programs. You know, you got a lot of young people out there too. I've never seen so many young people homeless. You know, when I was out there, it was mostly older folks. Now you got young people, old people, babies running around the street. You know, it's terrible. And you know, I just hope that we can kind of work something into this pilot program that we can really use to help somebody.
Okay,
You know,
Commissioner.
so that's me right there. I'm through.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. And thank you for that information. I don't think many of the commissioners knew that you were homeless at one point. So thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Denise, Patrick, or Michael. Denise.
Okay. I just wanted to share that, I definitely don't believe the city is set up for encampments to be all over the city. And I have a big heart for the homeless. I've fed the homeless. I've took blankets to the homeless. I've done my own thing as a community leader prior to being an ANC commissioner, different things for the homeless. Don't believe the city is set up again to have encampments all over the place. And I'm not a big fan of taking people from their comfort zone. My dad used to work as a supervisor at UPO. I have a brother that's now a supervisor at UPO that work with the homeless all the time. I just want to say that I believe not only is it a lot of things going on, as Kevin shared, with mental health wise, with the people that's some of the people that are out into the streets now, and we are seeing a lot of the younger people. But I believe like in support of getting the homeless adequate living space, even if they have to go into a shelter for the people who are not on the list. I know it's hard to get some people to go in. I believe something else should be under that shelter structure. As it all says, that it's leading back to showing that there's a mental illness, but maybe some kind of counseling services, not only having a case manager that they have to get to, but some of those things taking place right in that shelter facility that, hey, you go here for this, you go there for that. A lot of things under that one set, and we have enough vacant schools and vacant buildings in the district. There's something else in addition can be done to support the homeless. And, when they take these encampments away, that there is proper assistance out there. So that's my take on it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Denise. Patrick or Michael, do you have anything to add before open to the community?
Yeah.
I do. Go ahead, Patrick.
Oh, thanks, Michael. Yeah, I just want to say thanks very much for attending our meeting today. And I had the benefit of attending the ANC commissioner session that took place last month. I want to say that the increased focus and dedication of resources being put towards housing unhoused residents, especially as we head into DC winter, is really important, and everyone in DC deserves an opportunity to be housed. With that said, just to discuss the events that took place yesterday at the NOMA encampment along M Street. First, it seems based on a combination of press numbers and the city's own reported numbers that somewhere around 50% of the encampment's residents were successfully enrolled in the city's fast-track housing program. I think in the eyes of many, that falls short of a success rate that we would need to say that this pilot program was successful in providing housing for those encampment residents. So I'd like you to please comment on if you, in your view, where should that success rate be? And second, I just want to say that the city vehicle that hit the unhoused resident while they were still in their tent is simply unacceptable. And it suggests to us, the commissioners of ANC 6E, to the public, that the city is taking a somewhat callous and haphazard approach in implementing the pilot program. So I want to ask, as the city prepares to sort of clear an encampment in our own ANC at New Jersey and O Street, what does the city plan to do differently with this encampment clearing? Could you please elaborate on that?
First of all, I think I'm not sure you have the correct numbers with respect to the statistics from NOMA. We had 45 original residents identified on the by name list. 7 of those residents never engaged and are no longer at NOMA. That reduced the by name list to 38. The pilot engagement cutoff date for those 7 residents who never engaged after the start date was 9/28, and that was set up by the Department of Human Services. 20 of the remaining residents have been leased up. 7 residents still reside at NOMA by their choosing, but they are slated to be leased up in 2 weeks. They chose not to go into a hotel while their leases were being finalized. We had 7 residents who agreed to go into a PEP-V hotel, and they will stay there until they are matched to the units that have been chosen for them and leased up. There were 4 residents who have had lapses in their pilot engagement and are not currently at NOMA. And we are working with our providers to try to reestablish a program engagement. So those numbers are very different from what you cite. As for the incident, we've talked about that. Again, I would just reiterate, it was an accident. It was not as if the tent was not checked by both the encampment staff and the contractor. It was a horrible incident, but fortunately, you know, it ended well with the resident going to a hotel and also will have his apartment when the lease-up process is finished. There were protocol changes that were made, and Jamal will see that they will be executed. And Jamal, if you want to add anything, I'll ask you to feel free.
Yes, just to clarify in regards to yesterday's incident, again, there were various checks between the hours of 8:30 and 11:30, which is prior to the actual cleanup physical engagement that started on L Street. Again, we started on M Street yesterday for the cleanup. And again, it is unclear whether or not through those various checks, if that resident either was enclosed in various belongings or materials within the tent to where he could not be visibly seen. What is clear is that he definitely, there was no response to the various checks to that particular tent. There's a possibility that throughout those 3 hours of engagement routinely between L Street and M Street, that the resident may have returned at some point in between. However, again, with this being a mistake that will not happen again under the encampment team and under the DMHHS's purview. We want to make sure that moving forward, a firmer perimeter is established around any encampment cleanup zone, which we will work to make sure that MPD, as they have in the past and currently still continue to make sure that we secure all entry points to that encampment cleanup zone. Following the security of the perimeter, one last check with 2 of the outreach providing teams will go through every tent that is on site, make sure that those tents are open, whether or not they are unzipped or physically cut open, to make sure that no one is residing within those. There will be the moving of different items in there to ensure that no one is underneath anything prior to the physical removal of that tent, whether it be by hand or by any form of machinery.
Thanks. You got a bunch of questions tonight, so I'll defer to my other commissioners.
Michael?
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to thank the mayor's team and the mayor by proxy for doing what we asked in a resolution from a few months ago. We're requesting some short-term win-win solutions that provide relief to encampment residents as well as relief to neighbors surrounding the encampment for a variety of reasons. So I want to just let you know that I'm thankful for your efforts here, and I also, agree with the existing program on two of the components. I do believe that there are spaces within the city that it's just not appropriate for there to be encampments, and I think, for example, alongside of a schoolyard, I have to support that, and so I do believe that it makes sense that there are spaces that we should not have encampments. So just want to be on the record with that piece, and then also just note that I hear what you're saying about new protocols, and I appreciate that. My question was answered, so I just want to just thank you again for your presentation this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank, did you have anything or no?
My statement would be redundant since he's already responded about how they're going to fix the problem, because I too was horrified by the accident that took place. But I'm glad to hear they already have a plan in place to make sure this doesn't repeat itself in the near future.
Okay, thanks, Frank. All right, so we're going to open up to the community. Here's what I'm going to do first, though. I have members of the Second Northwest Cooperative on the phone. This is the community that is directly behind the encampment at New Jersey Avenue and O Street. So Ed, if you would please move over Denise Murray and Joanne Williams Delaney. Denise and Joe, I'm sorry, Joe Williams Delaney. Ed's going to move you over. Hey, Denise. Ed, do you see Joe Williams Delaney down there? Yeah. Denise, since you're you're on the board, why don't you go ahead and speak, please?
Good afternoon. Good evening, everybody. I'm very pleased to hear all of this information concerning the park here at New Jersey Avenue and O Street. Like Ms. Nigro, I've been living here at Second Northwest for 42 years. So I've seen a lot of things, but this thing with the parks and the encampments is beyond understanding. I'm in agreement with Kevin that some of the programs that have been discontinued need to come back, because it's obvious that there's a great need for this. But my apartment faces this park. I am awake most nights, all half up and down because of the noise and fires and lights and stuff. How many people have to die? How many fires have to happen before before somebody does something? This is ridiculous. November 4th, I heard that date. I mean, you're talking about 32 32 members out there who are approved for the pilot program. What about the other people? Okay, when you remove these tents from this park, are they gonna put up a fence to keep folk from coming back? Because these folks, they will come back. I'm just at my wit's end with all of this. And I do want to say though that I do support the mayor's program and efforts to get these people off the street. I'm done.
Thanks, Denise. Ms. Williams-Delaney, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Joe, unmute yourself. Denise, is Ms. Hill on or no? Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Okay, I just want to say that I agree with what the plan is, to have the people removed from the encampment by November. I really don't have much more to say right now. I just like to see the progress being made. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Joe. So this, as a Denise and Joe there, I represent hundreds of people behind the encampment, and they have, not only the people in the encampment have been affected, but outside the encampment, and hundreds of these people are, especially the 2 buildings that face the encampment, have been affected daily. Both the cooperative and the firehouse are now rat infested. So it is, and right, Denise, and the park itself is rat infested.
Absolutely. The rats play in our park, out in our little grassy area, like they're children in the park. We actually have to ask permission to come inside the building so they can step aside from in front of our doors. It's absolutely absurd.
Yes.
Okay, ladies, thank you for zooming. I've requested several times that the firehouse and the cooperative and the park be hit for rat abatement the same day, which would make more sense than apparently what is happening. So, okay, Ed, if you please move out, Denise and Joe, and I want you to move in with the initials JC. These are other constituents. And JC's on the top of the list there with the little hand raised.
I don't know how to move out.
Joe, Ed will do it for you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Just hang tight. Okay, so these JC, this we have, I think there's on this, we have Jessica and Lewis. Who else? Jessica.
Sorry, I'm on double. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that.
Okay. Oh, you're still echoing.
Skip me and come back to me next, please.
Okay, where is Lewis? Okay, I'm going to go to Ed. Could you please move over Kim Parker? Her hand is raised. Kim Parker, she's another constituent. See her with a little hand raised.
It's not moving very fast, so
That's
I have
okay.
moved her.
Okay, here she comes. Hi, Kim, you want to unmute yourself?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hi, I have been a resident for 41 years, family home. Pretty much, I've had some of my questions answered, but I want to follow up with the young lady who posed a question about rat abatement and wondering if there's any plans to, once the tents are removed, between that time and the construction of the park, is there a possibility that we can continue to have rat abatement continually done so that it can kind of diminish or get it somewhere under control, so that once everything is cleared out per se, that the residents or the neighboring community don't have to deal so much with the rats going crazy? Is that possible to continue in between the construction and the removal to continue to have that type of service?
I will take that issue to the DC Department of Health. They have a rat abatement program, as you know, and I will let them know that this is an issue of concern for the community, and it's something they might consider taking a look at. I will send an email to the, or either call the head of DC Health tonight or tomorrow.
Thank you. I have one more question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Also, I'm wondering, I know you guys have a tentative target date of November, the first week of November, or November the 4th. With things that happened yesterday with the fire, I'm wondering if between this time and November the 4th, your anticipated target time frame, if
you muted yourself.
Can you see yourself either moving up time frame, or is the November the 4th, I guess, the earliest that movement will possibly be going on?
Well, November the 4th definitely will be the earliest. And the reason being, again, with us working with the residents of the New Jersey Avenue encampment, again, the large number of those that are on the by name list, and of course, any barriers that may be present, we don't want to and cannot afford to, for the success and stability of these residents, rush the process which is currently in place. Now, again, we can always continue to work to house them stably as soon as possible. But again, with the large number of the residents, right now that November 4th date is the earliest.
Okay. Well, I wish you guys luck. I am for this program, and I hope that it spreads across the city, that you can continue to help those who are in need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Okay, JC, you want to unmute yourself?
Good evening. Thank you for having this meeting and letting us speak. It sounds like you guys are starting to share groundwork and plans of the pilot potentially being delayed. So my questions are, do you anticipate there being delays? How that will be communicated to us if there are delays? And if it does shift, is there like a drop dead date, like that this is the, I'm making it up, December 15th is the latest date that it would start? So, or would it just shift slightly to the right and continue no matter what the season is, but that it will start in the near term?
So again, that November date that was given out is the date that we are pushing for. That is a goal of this program for that particular site. If there is the need for any extension to that date, it will be due to us wanting to make sure that the residents are stably being transitioned to housing, and that it is not a rush format. And there are a lot of moving parts in regards to ensuring the stability of those residents. It is not simply just placing them into a unit. So we want to make sure that all of those factors are considered and in a very humanistic form engaged upon. In regards to a firm drop dead date, again, back to my first answer, we want to ensure that all areas of stability have been engaged before that date is rendered. Our overall goal, again, is not the removal of encampments, but it is the house stability of the residents present. I just want to also answer two things that were mentioned earlier. One in regards to fencing for New Jersey Avenue, and no. As most know, DPR is scheduled to have various renovations and constructions to that particular property. So yes, there will be fencing during the course of engagement of that restoration project. And following that, DPR will follow and adhere a very strict policy to not allowing encampments or encamping rather to that particular park area. Should there be any that return, very similar to our K Street location that currently has a no encamping ordinance, they will be engaged by the DMHHS outreach encampment team accordingly to hopefully have them remove on their own choosing to another location that is safer and more viable and does not affect the neighboring community. Yes.
Sorry,
Okay.
and how will it be communicated for our delays?
If it is the same way that there were extended dates for the NOMA encampment pilot sites, those will be communicated effectively in a public fashion, as well as to the various stakeholders, and most importantly to the residents of the city in a duly and timely notice. Those prior extension dates notice have been given more than a week in advance due to the barriers that were present at that time.
Okay, great. Thank you, constituent Jessica. And then Jamal. Okay, I'm gonna, due to time, we're gonna have one question, and I am gonna pick the person who has their hand raised, and that person is going to be Gordon. All right, Gordon.
Chair Nigro, can I be recognized?
Sure.
Just for procedural issue. So, you know, I think that we have a number of people who have had their hands raised, including
That's correct.
residents. And for that reason, I'm going to make a motion to keep hearing witnesses until
We're not going to do this, Alex. This is, we've got other people that have to present. We cannot have this go on. We've got other people that are waiting. This could go on, and I hear you, Alex, okay? But there have been other meetings that people have attended. We have got to move on, okay? Alex, we're going to move on, okay? And I'm going to pick.
Chair Nigro,
Madam
there are residents with their hands up who want to speak on this issue.
I understand that, but I picked someone and I'm the chair. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. Okay, Alex?
We make decisions as a body, Chair, with all due respect.
Alex, but this could go on for a very long time. And as I said before we went public, we're not going to make this a long meeting. Okay, so Ed, could you please move over? Gordon, where you go? All right, I respect you, Alex. I get it, but we cannot go on and on and on. And anyone, the deputy mayor, Jamal, they can easily be reached for if people have questions.
Yes, my email is available, Commissioner. Anybody that has questions that were not addressed tonight, you can send them to me or Jamal, and we will make sure you get a response. Thank you.
Absolutely. I email them all the time. Ed, could you please move over, Gordon? Gordon. Chafin, he had his hand raised. Go ahead, Gordon.
Hi, thank you very much for hearing me. And I appreciate the spot to ask a question. Deputy Mayor, I wanted to ask you what success looks like for this program and how you will measure that. The stated goal was obviously getting people homes. And so what, in terms of the public space, this park is going to be renovated. The NOMA encampments are currently blocked by Jersey barriers. In the public space, is the end goal for this for encampments in the future to never be allowed? In general, how will you judge the success of the program? Thank you.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thanks for the question. Recall, this is a pilot program. The goal is to test a housing first model, and that is what we are doing. So our first and most prominent measure will be of the people who were on who agreed to go to housing, how many were effectively housed. That is our first and most important measure. We're also looking at the notion that, as some of the commissioners have pointed out tonight, there are some public spaces that are not appropriate for encampments. And so one of the things that we will evaluate is, in those areas that we identify as not appropriate for encampments, once we house the people who are living there, you know, how successful will we be from having people not come back, either by giving up the apartment or house they were given, or to come over from another encampment where they may be living prior to being exposed to the encampments that we just cleared. But the most important goal is to determine how many people will accept housing. There have since I've been in this job, I've heard from a ton of people, a lot of advocates, that, you know, you can't give everybody housing because they don't want housing. And I understand there are some people who have some mental health challenges that, you know, can't speak to, or you can't sort of envision how well they would live independently without some assistance. But my view is that the vast majority of the people that we offer housing will accept it, because I think housing is a superior option to living on the street. The mayor doesn't want anybody to live on the street, and she certainly don't want anybody to live on the street in areas that expose them to public health and safety risks. So that's how there will be a ton of other measures, and we have a science lab that works out of the city administrator's office. They will be collecting data on these pilots, and they will be looking at a number of different aspects. But our goal is to determine, with the housing first model, how many people can we get into housing who are on a by name list, and are we effective in identifying certain spaces as not suitable for encampments, and keeping people out of those areas for their own health, welfare, and safety. That's how I would summarize it, but it's going to be a lot more complex than that. But I think those are the two most important measures.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gordon Muda. Okay, everyone, we're going to end it there. I want to thank the Deputy Mayor and Mr. Weldon and Ms. Creighton for zooming in. We are going to move on. So as the Deputy Mayor said, email him, email Mr. Weldon. Ms. Creighton is new, right, Ms. Creighton? So you are accessible?
Yes, she's my chief of staff. Kiana will send her email tonight. My suggestion is that all the questions filter to her, and then she can distribute those to Jamal and myself, depending on how she determines which of us are best suited to answer a particular question. And that way you'll ensure that all your questions get answered, and then she can respond back with the answers that you have sought.
Okay, very good. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. And we look forward to, as Alex said, more communication, open communication about what is happening with this process.
On that line, since there are a lot of questions left, Mr. Weldon, would you be open to having a subsequent community meeting where we could have more extended Q&A on some of these issues?
I think he's gone. Okay, so Alex, we can work on that. They're easily accessible. Okay. All right. So next, thank you everyone for zooming in. Next we're looking for Hoagie House. So Ed, if Mr. Morganson or Maria Sanders are on the other side. Did they zoom in?
Hello? Am I allowed to speak or what?
No, we're looking for Mr. Morganson.
Well,
Mr. Morganson. Anyone from Hoagie House?
I see neither of those names.
Okay. Maria Sanders. I think she was here. No.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, so let's move on then. We have here, oh, Miss Battles is here. We'll come back to Hoagie House. We have the S Street Village, Miss Battles. Go ahead, Ed, and move over Miss Battles, Leela. There she is with her little hand raised. Okay. So this we are on, this is in Alex's area for about the S Street Village. We're talking about a zoning map amendment, and also Ed, why don't you move over Tony Brown? Hi, Miss Baddies. I'm sorry. How are you? Good to see you.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute. So you do have, if you have a presentation, you do have the ability to present, okay?
Okay, I have two colleagues here with me, Reverend Jim Dickerson with MANA, and Sean Fashawn, who is the architect with PGN. So if you can allow them, and also Mr. Anderson.
Sean Fashawn, I see that. Ed. And what was the other name?
Reverend Jim Dickerson.
Okay. Reverend, if you can raise your hand, press *9 to use the raise your hand feature. Oh, there he is. And then Sean, Ed.
Hello.
Hi, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'll start with asking Mr. Brown if he wants us to do a full presentation. We presented to his committee last week, and so I don't know, Mr. Brown, if you want us to present to the larger ANC this evening.
Yes, Lila. Let me just start out. They came to us originally in 2017 during the time we were editing the comp plan, and made a request in preparation for this project. So we agreed to that, and now we're at this stage. So I'll let Lila take it from there.
Okay, great. Reverend Dickerson, do you want to turn your camera on? There should be a microphone and a video icon at the bottom left of your screen.
Ms. Bags, are you going to do a presentation?
Yeah, we have a very brief presentation.
Yeah. Brief and pointed, everyone. Brief and pointed.
I got it. I got it. And I want to acknowledge our single member district representative, Commissioner Lopez.
Yep.
Who was instrumental in getting us into this process. So thank you for that, Commissioner. Again, this applicant is S Street Village. They, along with MANA, own the subject property on the south side of S Street. And we are have filed an application to have the property rezoned from RF1 to ARTS2. And as part of that application, so we're seeking the rezoning to facilitate the redevelopment of the site. And Sean Fashawn, although is here this evening, although plans are not required as part of an application to rezone, we are here to give the ANC an idea of kind of the height, scale, and massing of the project, as well as renderings of the project, since we won't be formally filing them as part of our zoning application. So only because they're not part of the legal standard of review. Reverend Dickerson has been with MANA for 40 years. He's going to talk just very briefly and generally about MANA's vision, history in the neighborhood, and vision for the site. And then we'll turn it over to Sean to just walk through some of the visuals for the project. Reverend Dickerson?
Sure, and I'm also, it's not just MANA, it's New Community Church. It's been there 40 years. We've had our ministries there for that long. We've taken probably in Shaw alone 500 homes, renovated, sold to first-time low-income buyers. We've taken that whole block when it was all drugs, etc. So it's a long history there. It's in the 80s is somewhat detailed in a book called S Street Rising. And so we are now at a stage where we want to continue. We're not leaving Shaw, we're there, and we have many good ministries, after school, arts, community-based arts, et cetera, addiction, returning citizens, our church. We have a robust homeownership training program. We have all kinds of other things going on there, and we have some residents there as well. So what we're doing is simply expanding on the block what we've been doing for the last 40 years there. I've been here over 50 doing it. And so we are now ready to take the next step on S Street and create a wonderful, beautiful development for people who are threatened to be pushed out. We just have had a whole series of conversations here about that. And we're here to give opportunity for folks who, the city is becoming less viable because they can't afford to live here, et cetera. So that's the basic vision. We've been here, we've done it, and we're now ready to expand and continue to do what we've done for the last 40 years. Is that short enough?
Yes, thank you, Reverend Dickerson. Sean?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Pichon with PGN Architects. Just to walk quickly through the project, it's located at the mid-block of S Street between 6th and 7th Street, just down the street from the Shaw Howard Metro stop. It encompasses several lots, the property itself, including the block all the way back to Glick Court in the rear of the property. We are, as Lila mentioned, we're seeking a map amendment to change the zoning to ARTS2, which allows for 4.7 FAR and 70 feet in height. We will be working within those zoning parameters as we develop the property. And we'll walk you through quickly through our preliminary planning. We'll have a parking level, which will house 25 parking spaces. We're seeking to increase that right now, but as of now, we have 25. On the ground floor, Mana's offices will be rebuilt into a new state-of-the-art office building, 3 stories. The original church will be preserved through this process. And the row houses, the facades of the existing row houses will be preserved. We will be providing housing, ground floor, going up to the 2nd and 3rd and all the way to the 7th floor. The Mana offices will be a 3-story office space adjacent to the 3-story church. And then the residential building will rise up for the remaining 4 floors above the 3-story office building and church building. So in a massing standpoint, the residential building will wrap around the existing church and new Mana office space, enclosing a courtyard, an open courtyard between those buildings. And as a rendering, this is, as I mentioned, a 3-story Mana office here, brand new office space, the existing church being preserved, and the 4 existing row house facades that will be preserved through this process. And that's
all of the units are affordable, 30 to 60 percent AMI with some PSA units.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry, I meant to mention that there will be 80 units, approximately 80 units of housing as part of this development, in addition to the Mana offices and the preservation of the church.
Thank you, Sean. So I'll just conclude, Commissioner Negro, by stating that for a rezoning, the standard that will be before the zoning commission is that the rezoning is not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan, particularly when looked at through the lens of racial equity. And we believe that for all of the reasons stated, primarily that this will be 100% affordable and serve some of the city's most deserving residents. We believe that the project will be deemed not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. The mixed use is also consistent with the Duke plan as well as the convention center plan, which the property falls within the boundaries of both of those small area plans. We filed this application on September 13th. We look to have a hearing date by either late this year or very early in 2022. And respectfully request that the full ANC follow the support of the committee and vote in support of the project. Thank you.
Okay, are we done with the presentation?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you guys take it down? Tony, do you have anything to say? And then Alex?
We think it's a wonderful project that's coming forth. And we recommend that the full ANC support the future land use map amendment for the S Street Village LLC at 614 S Street Northwest, with a proviso that the developers communicate to the residents a restriction on the RPP. And we also applauded the group for preserving the facades of the church and the 4 existing row houses at this time.
I just have one clarification. It's a zoning map amendment and not land use map.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Alex?
Good evening. I wanted to thank the S Street Village team for bringing this before the ANC. As everyone on this call is aware, DC desperately needs more affordable housing, especially in the Shawn neighborhood, which is one of the most gentrified neighborhoods in the country. This project will deliver, as the applicant stated, units of affordable housing between 30% and 60% area median income, which is sorely needed. I have met with the applicants. I know that the ANC has engaged with this project for several years, and I'm supportive of the project. I have 2 questions from the presentation. One is, sorry, can you just say again how many residential units you plan? 80 at this
80.
And Reverend Dickerson, you said that some of them would be PSA.
Yeah, we can get some PSA units there.
What is,
Some
sorry,
special needs people, and with supportive services. Yes, and we will also have families with children, etc. There'll be bigger units as well, not all small single units. So there'll be a mix of folks there.
I think the PSA is permanent supportive housing.
Right, that's what I'm sorry.
Terminology.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't clarify.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to help clarify.
That's helpful. I don't have any other questions for the applicant.
Okay, I had one thing to add. They did also agree to include either sculpture, something like that, some type of public art in their project as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. All right.
Actually, sorry, before we move on, I did have a question for the applicant. And I guess for Mr. Brown, one of the zoning committee's recommendation was that our support for the zoning variance be conditional on exclusion to future residents from the residential pricing program. I'm concerned about this exclusion. Is this something that the applicant is proposing, or is this something that the committee recommends be a contingency for the ANC support?
As part of the review of most of these type projects where we're going to increase substantially the number of residents, when there are housing units and we're already saturated with parking issues right now, we always make the stipulation when they come to us that they include the restriction for the RPP. That's
So
customary.
I have some issues with this, both on, I think, the process standpoint, as well as with the nature of that stipulation. My understanding of RPP exclusion is that would only be granted by the zoning commission in cases where there's a zoning variance or special exception being sought, not in a map amendment case. So from a process standpoint, I don't think it would be appropriate for the ANC to request RPP exclusion. Just from a practical standpoint, the idea of RPP exclusion really generally rubs me in the wrong way. I don't see a reason why residents of our neighborhood who have lived here for 20 years should be eligible for RPP, where residents who will perhaps live here for the next 20 years would not be eligible. Why people living in $1 million row houses would be have access to free on-street parking, but people living in subsidized housing would not. So I would not be in support of a requirement, a stipulation, both on for RPP exclusion, both on a process as well as a practical standpoint. And I'll let other commissioners ask questions if they want.
Okay, any other questions from the commissioners about this? It's gonna be beautiful. It's lovely. Go ahead, Frank.
Beautiful building. Will there be any parking whatsoever for these 80 units?
Yes,
Parking spaces.
How many?
25.
25.
right now, but we're working on expanding that number.
And Commissioner Wiggins, I would just say that they're going to meet the requirements for parking. So the intent is to build a project that complies with zoning.
Yeah.
Is this going to be above ground or below ground parking?
Below.
Below. Okay.
Okay, any other commissioners? Karen, Kevin has left the meeting too. Just to note that, just a bit ago. Okay, let me open up to the public. This is about the S Street Village. Any questions from the public? Mr. May, is this about this or are you for the next presentation? Any questions for this? Press *9 if you're on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature. Mr. May, do you have a question for this project?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, great. I wanted to first say I'm really excited about bringing affordable housing to the neighborhood. I think it's fantastic, and I'm actually really excited that it's going close to me. I think it's going to be a beautiful project. I'm one of the properties that is across the alley from this development. My only real concern here is it looked like the rendering was envisioning 7 stories of a development, and that's a really large development on this block, on this specific square. And it looks like it's gonna be taking up the vast majority of the lot space, whereas right now, there's a parking lot in the rear of the church building area. I just wanted to note that I think that's a significant concern. I don't know that that's been I haven't heard it being addressed or considered.
Mr. May, I will just say that as part of the rezoning application, the specific plans for the project are not under consideration. We were providing renderings so that the community can get a sense of what would be developed on the site, but the legal standard of review for rezoning is just that the rezoning is not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. We're not even permitted to submit plans as part of the application.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that response. I appreciate it. I would just ask that, as plans go forward, please, I would love to be engaged, and please reach out to the neighbors that are specifically around here. I can't think any of us would not want to be involved and engage.
Yes, happy to do so.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. May. Any other community questions for this project? I see Sergey. Ed, if you can unmute Sergey. Go ahead, Sergey.
Hi, this is Sergey Mikhailov.
I have a question. So going back to your standard order review, so you said that as long as it's not inconsistent with a comprehensive plan, it matches the standard. Is providing affordable housing, is that binding on the decision, or hypothetically you get the map amendment done and then you actually go into affordable housing? Is that possible under this proposal?
So the only request before the zoning commission is the rezoning. Manna and the church and West Street Village are providing affordable housing because that is their mission. That's part of what they do, and those are the constituents that they serve.
Okay, but it's not binding. If the church wants to then sell it and the future buyer does whatever they want with it, as permitted by the new map, meaning zero affordable, they could do it.
Well, if there's any residential development on the site, they would be subject to affordable housing, the inclusionary zoning requirements.
But I mean, but they could do less affordable than you're currently proposing in your pitch.
If they were to sell, but I mean,
yeah,
in theory, yes, but they've been stakeholders in this
question is,
community.
can the ANC support bind you to sticking, like, can the requirement for the ratio of the affordable housing you're proposing as part of the presentation, can that be binding with our agreement? I just don't like when people come in, affordable, blah, 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 open stuff, and then nothing is binding, and then you get the map amendment, and then you do something entirely different. Yes, it's consistent with the church,
Let me
but
just
there's
say,
nothing is written in the title. I just don't buy that.
yeah, we've been there 40 years, and we have been consistent for 40 years. Nothing that we've done has not been in line with exactly what we're proposing here, and going to continue to do as long as we're here. And you know, the block, the neighborhood, etc. We took 500 homes in Shaw, 2,000 in the city, and we have, you know, converted them into home ownership and to rental housing. We took the White Law Hotel, we redid that. We just finished its 8th and T sales of a affordable over there mixed because we were forced to by the city to do the mix, which was fine. But we are an affordable housing developer, and this is our mission. These are our people. They're wonderful, beautiful, fantastic people and neighbors. They've changed the neighborhood themselves. They're the ones who were the pioneers to buy there when it was all dope. It was all violence, 500 murders a year. They're the ones who transformed this community and made it where it is now, which we're dealing with now, where people on these income levels can't live there. So we are committed to this. We have we have our support services, we have our after schools, we have our addictions, we have our family supports, we have our jobs, we have all of it there. We're going to continue, and and our offices are coming there. We're not just dropping something there that we're not living there. This is home, and we're going to, you know, so this, you know, this is what we do, and we're going to, you know, we've shown that it can work, and it does work, and these are beautiful human beings and people who want opportunity to better their lives and have the support systems and services and to build community. We've had just a little bit of we've had a reentry program next door with us for many years, and the reentry guys, the reentry folks, they're the ones who make the initiative with the new neighbors. They've been there for a long time themselves. They've made the initiative, they build community, they build relationships. We call it S Street Village because that's what it feels like down there. And those who have been there for a long know that. So I'm looking forward to interacting with any of you. We will in any way. But this is who we are, and this is what we're proposing, and it's well within all the guidelines of everything that we're doing. And it's a beautiful project, and it'll be a beautiful project for people of the community as well as the people who live there. So we feel very good about it. I'd be glad to show you around to some other projects if you'd like, whatever you would, you know, we'd be glad to talk with you more.
Great, thank you. Marcus, could you move over Sergey back over, please? Any other community questions about this project, the significant project? Nope. Okay. Alex, why don't you go ahead? If there's no other question, why don't you go ahead and make the motion? And I just, if you could, are we on the same page? But so you're gonna not go with the RFP?
The RPP.
Yeah, RPP,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with a straight support motion. So I'm going to make the motion that the ANC 6E support the application of S Street Village LLC for a zoning map amendment from RF1 to Arts 2 for 614 S Street Northwest, Square 442, lots 88, 108, 110, 810, and 811, and communicate our support to the Zoning Commission.
Great, thank you, Alex. Any questions about the motion? Michael Eichler, do you have a question?
No, sorry, I was seconding it.
Okay, Michael seconds. All in favor? Aye. Frank, Denise, where'd Frank go? Okay, all right, great, motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
No, thank you, sir, for
Have a
zooming
good
in.
evening.
Nice to see you.
Good luck.
Yeah, good to see you. Who knows when I'll see you again, right? Always a pleasure. All right, Marcus, why don't you move them out, and then we're gonna move in our Hoagie House presenters. We have Mark. All right, we're just gonna move her at top of Marcus, move over Mark. Hi. Go ahead and mute yourself, Mark.
Okay, am I up?
And Maria's with you?
She is. She's outside.
Okay,
of
great.
the camera shot. She's
Okay,
here.
great. Okay, so this is the infamous Hoagie House at 1251 4th Street. They're back here again this month. They have now, we talked about them last month with the historic structure. We're talking about this month about the two other lots. We always say that the slogan is decades in the making. So go ahead, if you have a presentation, you want to put it up, Mark?
Yes, thank you.
And
I'll
go
send
ahead, Tony.
Okay, like Rochelle just said, this has been a long process. They did come to us last month for the initial part of the project. They have basically broken it into like 3 different segments: Hoagie House 1, 2, and 3. They've come back. They've made a couple of adjustments to Hoagie House 1, which are more in line with what we feel that would be more acceptable to the neighborhood and fit in the neighborhood a little bit better. The other 2 lots, lots 34 and 35, they have come back to present their concepts for the townhouses and the one of the lots, and I think it's lot 35, they have space enough for 2 townhouse-like setups, and I think they're like condos. And then the lot 34, they have 1 unit there that has 1 house there with 2 units in it. They came up with a very good design. We talked through some things, and I see they've made some adjustments already to the balconies, and I think it'll be a wonderful project. Mark, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark, so if you want to go through this and just be very pointed about the presentation, please.
Yes. First of all, thank you for letting me present. I'm on here with Amr and Annika Salim, who are the owners. And so I'll jump right in the interest of time. So we did present last time. We've made certain revisions. I'll start, if you can see my cursor here, we have what was Hoagie House, what we're calling Hoagie House proper. We had a previous concept, which is up on the screen now, which we have decreased the height by about 25%, and we've pulled it back from the front 25%, and we've well, so as to preserve the relationship between the main block of the building as well as the rear wing. So I'm gonna pull it back up here. So our new proposal here has a canted roof, a rear sloping canted roof to decrease the visual volume of the space. We're going to be presenting that to HPRB. We're working with Brendan Meyer, and he's giving us feedback on all 3 properties at the same stage now. And we've actually, even as of a couple of days ago, we've taken the previous ANC feedback. We had 2 balconies here before. We've raised this up, and we've introduced a different balcony detail to this second property, to this second address here. Let me just back up for a second though. Where my cursor is now, left to the end of this is 1 property. And so this is actually technically a flat, a DC flat, even though it's set up as a duplex. We're treating it as 2 distinct condos, but they're set up virtually identical to what a row home in DC would be set up like. So, so we've made a few of these changes. We have, pursuant to some of the feedback we got from Brendan Meyer, to keep things as consistent as possible across both properties with as little variations in material as possible. We've gone to all brick. I blanked out the colors because they'll likely be different colors here, but we haven't really. HPRB is more focused on the integral material than they are the color of the brick. So this has yet to be decided, but it's going to be very similar to what we showed last time. Likely to be a red brick. One of them will be a red brick. The other will be a painted brick. And this last unit right here, we've adjusted some of the windows for size and scale. We've adjusted this roof line here. We've made it a little bit steeper. We've refined it a bit, and we have adjusted this roof on this this front projection here. We had a shed style roof. We've made it a flat roof, and we've introduced some brick corbelling. Essentially, from we've carried some of the DNA over from Hoogie House and reintroduced it on our vacant lot. So this you can't tell in detail, but the detail, the brick detail that goes across the top of Hoogie House is the same one we'll use here. There's another brick detail that runs across the front facade here at the top of the existing property, which we're going to reintroduce here as a main massing element for this this last unit off here to the right. And then I'll also mention, it's worth mentioning, we do have a couple of roof decks, but they are not visible from the street. We've put some guys here for scale. This unit here has a roof deck. The 2 to my left, these 2 properties do not. If I rock down, even from across the street, they completely disappear from sight. Same goes for Hoogie House. I have guys up there now, and as I rock, they just completely disappear from sight as I get down to ground level. So we're gonna have sight lines in our presentation to HPRB. So we're here seeking full support for the concept. If there's any neighbors listening, I'm also gonna pull up.
I'm gonna open it up to them, see if there's any neighbors.
All right. There's no alley behind this property, and so we have. Let me see if I can zoom in this way so I can show you. We're gonna leave a corridor going down the side and the back, which will allow the tenants of this building to bring their trash out and just have direct rear yard access. And we're gonna invite the neighbors to cut gates into their fences if they want to use the same egress points. So we're actually, the last thing I'll mention, I know you want to keep it short, is that we have a meet and greet. We're going to pamphlet all the immediate neighbors in the direct vicinity. And we're going to be out there just to answer questions and go through things in more detail with neighbors if they're interested on the 12th coming up here between 4:30 and 6:30.
If you could, here's what I want you to do for that leaflets. If you guys could do 4th N and Ridge, and then I will take care. If you could either drop some off for me, and I will flyer the cooperative.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'll connect with you after.
Yep. Okay, so if you go ahead and take down the presentation, please, Mark.
Yeah, unshare my screen.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions about this project that was been going on for too long in my neighborhood?
Yeah,
Any
actually,
questions? Yes, Michael.
yeah, I will chime in with a question. Just kind of curious, in the renderings, you have 3 cars just kind of sitting there with a very wide curb cut. There is a curb cut in existence there, but it doesn't appear to be as wide as the one that you're portraying. Just wondering if you could say a little bit about what those spaces are and whether, surface parking for 3 cars is the best use of that space. And then secondly, like, is this all going to be one rental apartment or is it individual? And are you doing, is it municipal trash collection, or are you doing, or you have enough units that it has to be, contracted out? And how are you going to facilitate trash collection and recycling?
I'll take the last question first. I believe, and I don't have confirmation on this yet, but I believe it'll be municipal trash collection. We are going to govern all 3 properties under a single condo association. And I believe we haven't spoken with the lawyers on that yet. I'm just, it allows us to maintain that rear yard access without having easements put on the plats for the properties themselves. But that's just the way we're leaning. The parking is actually, the curb cut is there for a 3-car parking space now. So we actually have enough room for a 4th if we enlarge the curb cut, but we're leaning against that at the moment. And that's as part of our proposal, we're proposing 3 at the moment, but we can add a legal 4th by right if we choose to. There's very little room left if we actually exercise that option. So we're leaning against it at the moment.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the commissioners? Frank?
I want to get some further clarification on the trash collection. You said there's no alley behind the property, and there was a space right next to the parking lot and to the left of the townhouses, or the white brick fixture to the right. Are canisters being brought out through that arched area, or will canisters or 4-foot yarders be kept on that little concrete space next to the parking lot? So is trash being taken from the back of the house to that little side of the parking lot?
So it's our plan now that residents will take their own trash cans out to the street, but they'll each have a 5-foot wide covered permanent station they bring them back to.
Behind their house?
Yeah, if you want me to share my screen, I can show you a survey which depicts it.
And we want them to bring them back instead of letting them hang on the sidewalk.
Instead of letting them stay on that little space,
Yeah.
concrete space.
It's a constant battle sometimes.
Yeah.
Right, Frank?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, I just want to get some clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Are we good? Are you good, Frank?
Good. Yeah.
Okay, Frank's good. All right, let me open up to the community. Press *9 if you're on the phone. This is about Hoagie House, the significant property at 4th and N Street, decades in the making. *9 if you're on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature. Marcus, why don't you go ahead and move over Miss Gaines, or unmute her. Hi, Miss Gaines, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Hi. Yep.
Hi, The questions that were just asked were largely mine. My concerns, I live directly across the street. My concerns are parking. So it sounds like it's just the 3 spots for parking. And I think you answered on the garbage that the cans would definitely be in the back. And my next question, I'll ask all my questions up front, is just on the total units and just a clarification on, I think what you're describing is that each of the individual entities will be their own condo association, so no more than 2 or 3 units. So therefore they can use municipal service. You can just clarify what you said on that. And if you can remind on the time for the 12th, I'll plan to be around and ask additional questions. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Catherine. It's our intention at the moment to have one condo association govern all 3 properties and all 6 units. But we have honestly not spoken with the attorneys yet, besides just asking them, if that was a doable option and them recommending yes. So I can try to have a little bit more for you on that Tuesday if you would like. As far as the parking goes, we're actually not planning to affect the parking at all. We have 3 legal spaces there now with a curb cut that's sized for it. Those parking spaces are on the Hoagie House lot. We're maxed out on surface area coverage. We can't expand even legally the footprint of the building as it stands now. And so the area the parking pads are on is essentially unbuildable. It's a good use of space, so we're just going to leave it as such.
Got it. And sorry, that's for how many units then in total?
It's 3 parking spaces. I don't know how the owner will decide to assign the parking spaces. We have over all 3 properties, we have 6 legal units with 3 legal parking spaces. So 3 people are going to get a parking space and 3 are not.
Wow, so that entire development is only 6 units?
Yeah, that's correct.
So each of the townhouses will just be 1 townhouse? It won't be 2 units in each townhouse?
It's so the historic contributing building, Hoagie House, is 2 units. The main block is 1 unit and the rear wing is a 2nd unit. The second lot, which is lot 35, is 1 lot with 2 row houses on it. Mm-hmm. And the last lot, which is lot 34, is set up as a 2-unit property, but it's divided 2 floors up and 2 floors down. So it's an over-under configuration, but it's 6 total. We could actually, we could have done 7 by right by rearranging the lot lines, but we decided against it for various reasons, and we kept it to 6.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ms. Gaines. Okay, anyone else from 4th Street or Ridge or N about this property? If you don't have any questions tonight, they'll be back on site on the 12th. It's very exciting. I think that's the first time I've ever had a developer do a little table or whatever you guys are gonna have. So
pop-up.
A pop-up. All right. So okay, no other questions. Let me go ahead and, so wait, are we not calling this whole thing then 1251, right? You do not want that.
Well, we haven't had addresses assigned to lot 34 or 35 yet. We have an address on lot 36, if you want to call it.
So wait, 34, 35, 36, or is it officially, what's it officially called with HPRB?
We just have a submission number, which I don't even have.
Oh, okay, I got that. I have that. Okay, so let me just do lot 34, 35, and 36. Okay. And I'll include I'll just do all of this. Okay. I'll just cover all my bases. Okay. I move that ANC 6E support the concept design for 1251 4th Street Northwest, which encompasses 3 lots, which would be lot 34, 35, and 36, also called the Hoagie House. And we communicate the support to the Historic Preservation Review Board. Any questions about the motion? No. Do I have a second? Michael seconds. Okay, Mike, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, great. Motion passed. Thank you. Hoagie House, people will see you on the 12th. Don't forget to give me the flyers.
I won't, we'll
Good
send
luck.
that. Thank you.
Okay, it'll be great. Looking forward to it. All right, okay, next we have DDOT here. So Marcus, if you would move over Spring. There she is. She has her hand raised. And we are now going to talk about the 8th Street Bus Priority Program, the final concepts. Hi, Spring. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Is there someone, are you by yourself talking tonight?
I'm by myself talking,
Okay.
but Keith Anderson from DDOT is also in attendance with me.
Is he this telephone number, or is he want to be on the screen, or no?
She is a.
Oh, she, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's on Zoom, Keisha Anderson. Keisha, if you want to raise your hand, that'll make it easier for them
See
to
the
find
telephone
you.
number? Keisha, there she is. Marcus, you want to go ahead and move her? Thank you, Marcus. All right, Mr. Worth, you're welcome to do a presentation. You can present yourself.
Sure. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. Let me look for it. But in the meantime, while I'm doing that, finding the doc or the presentation, I will say that I'm the project manager for H Street. Megan Carnegie, my colleague, who's the program manager for Bus Priority, came earlier this year in May to present about this project in general and what we're doing to improve buses along, well, in the district in general, and then along H Street. So current slide. All right, there you go. I think that you have the presentation here. So I'll move through these slides pretty quickly because I know we're a little tight on time, but this is the H Street Northwest Bus Priority Project. As I mentioned, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what we're doing to improve bus service in the district through our Bus Priority Program, and then really focus in on the H Street project and what our selected build options are for H Street.
I'm sorry, I can't see the presentation shared on my screen.
Yeah, I can't either.
No one can see it. It says you are screen sharing.
So, but we don't see it though.
Okay, all right, let me try to, I'll stop and then reshare.
All right.
All right, I'll stop sharing. Sorry about that. Let's see. And I'll go back. Does that show?
No. Unfortunate. Do you want to just talk?
Right. Okay, I'll try one more time, and then otherwise,
Okay.
you know, an option is there. This is also up on our website, and I could share it. Is there an option to share in the chat feature?
No, we have no chat. We're chatless.
Oh, you're chatless. Okay. All right. Let me try to share one more time. I can also try. Let's see.
Okay.
That work? Are you seeing that?
No. What? Can you just talk through it?
Yeah, I'll talk through it.
Okay.
Okay. So our bus priority program, the district has a transportation equity statement. It's really important that we that there's equity in the district and that our transit facilities are improving equity and accessibility for where residents need to go. It's really important that people are able to get to their destinations in 30 minutes or less. And that's an objective of our bus priority program, is to improve our transit facilities. In the district, our long range plan is to, for all trips, commute trips, to be by 75% of them to be by non-auto in the next 10 years. So this project falls into that. We're trying to improve like bus, walking, and our bike facilities to make that possible. And if you ask a lot of people why they don't take the bus, they'll say that the bus speeds are really slow and it's unreliable. And our bus priority program really aims to improve our bus speeds and reliability through all 8 wards in the district. And almost half of district residents.
Oh,
there we go.
There we go. It's like a miracle.
I'm sharing. If you
Okay.
just want me to advance, tell me.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Alex. Go ahead.
Thanks so much for finding that on the website. All right. So about almost half of district residents make under $30,000 per year. There's disproportionately bus riders are low income and people of color. And we're really trying to improve the rider experience for them. And that helps us meet our transit equity. And we're doing that through a variety of improvements, pedestrian improvements, bus lanes that you've probably seen in the district on H&I streets, Georgia Avenue, M Street, right in front of our office in Navy Yard. Next slide. Thanks so much for helping with this. So the project area, where specifically are we referring to on H Street? So this falls within 2 wards, in Ward 6 and Ward 2. It's from 14th Street Northwest to North Capitol, which is a little over a mile. It's 1.25 miles long. If you go west of 14th Street, there are bus lanes from 14th Street to Pennsylvania Avenue, which is about a half a mile. But this area would be 14th Street to H Street. And there's a lot of buses and trucks that go through this route. And we also know that there's a lot of restaurants and hotels that really need curbside access. Next slide. So what are our goals of the project are transit safety access. We're really trying to improve bus speeds and reliability. We're trying to improve pedestrian access to transit. Safety is really critical, not just for the bus riders, but for all users of the roadway, and access. We know that there's a lot of curbside needs on H Street, so we also want to improve access. So the H Street corridor is a really high ridership corridor. In 2019, there were over 35,000 average daily bus riders along the corridor. And the X2 and X9 routes was the 3rd highest ridership during the COVID-19 pandemic. But one of the things that people experience and our data shows is that there is slow bus speeds all day, not just during the peaks, but during the AM, midday, and PM peaks. And this diagram here just shows you how slow the buses are traveling. So just like what I mentioned, the buses are slow throughout the day. We look at it like it shows, I think the red one's westbound and it's because I can't see the full slide, but then the other one is eastbound, but it varies from pretty much all day the bus is traveling less than 6 miles per hour, AM peak, midday, and PM peak. And this project really aims to improve the bus speeds along the corridor. And the X2 bus speed. So this here shows you that regardless of what direction you're going in, if you're going westbound heading towards Gallery Place, like heading in the direction of Foggy Bottom, or if you're going eastbound heading towards North Capitol or towards like Union Station, where you see the dark red here, and you see it in a lot of places, the bus is pretty much crawling. It's going like less than 6 miles per hour in the dark red and less than 9 miles per hour. So we're really aiming to improve the bus speeds along the corridor, especially in these segments. So our timeline. So in this past spring, we came out and said that we were doing a project. We presented about our bus priority program, how we're aiming to improve bus service across the district. And we looked at what exactly exists on the corridor. This summer, we looked at what we specifically could do. We developed our concepts. And now today we're presenting our recommended concept, our selected build options for the corridor. And we also are we're here at this ANC and we'll be going to ANC 2C next week. And our goal is that this fall we can begin design and this fall, winter, and then next year, either in the spring or summer, we'll start construction along the corridor. Right, so on H Street, as I mentioned, the corridor is from 14th Street to North Capitol. There's 4 different segments of the street, like the lanes change based on the segment. So from 14th Street to 13th Street, so roughly where the Women's Arts Museum is, from 14th to 13th Street, there's 4 lanes of traffic. From 13th Street to 4th Street, there's 6 lanes of traffic, 3 eastbound, 3 westbound. And then there's a discontinuous segment from 4th Street to New Jersey, and that's like the area by 395. Just to keep in mind, in that segment, we're not proposing to put in any bus lanes in that area. And then the 4th segment is from New Jersey Avenue to North Capitol Street, and there's 6 lanes of traffic. So there's 2 options that we are presenting. Option 1 is the no build. That means that we would essentially do nothing to the corridor. Things would exist as it is today. We would make minimal to no changes. We, however, would go in and possibly do some bus stop rebalancing. We've been working in coordination with WMATA, and we would look at certain bus stops and consolidate them to help the buses travel faster through the corridor. But if we go with this option, we wouldn't meet the project's goals, which are transit, safety, and access. So, but that is an option, the no build. Our selected build option does meet the project's goals of improving transit access and safety. We would be reducing, so this option here involves putting in curbside bus lanes. So where you see the red here, we would be putting in curbside bus lanes, and they would be in operation only during the peaks. So the AM peak, which is 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., and then the PM peak, which is 4 to 6:30 p.m. This would have minimal to no impact on parking because parking is not permitted during the peaks. We would get an improvement in transit, about a few minutes of improvement for bus riders along this corridor, about 15% improvement. And this would mostly, in the 6 lane segments along the corridor, we would reduce the lanes to 5 lanes, with the exception of right by Gallery Place at like 7th and H, between those blocks of like 6th and 9th. We would maintain 6 lanes so that we can keep that Barn Stance crossing at 7th and H, like near the Walgreens and near the Metro entrance, where you can cross the street diagonally. So to help out with traffic operations and pedestrian movement at that intersection, we would maintain 6 lanes, and we also would maintain the 6 lanes near the Walmart at on H Street near North Capitol and 3rd Street. The other improvements as part of that selected build option is we would do bus stop rebalancing, as I mentioned before, in coordination. We're working in coordination with WMATA to identify the stops that we could potentially consolidate. And in that segment that I mentioned, 395, where we're not doing any bus lanes, or we're not proposing to do any bus lanes in that segment, we would add a westbound queue jump at H and New Jersey Avenue to help the buses. And a queue jump is a signal for the buses. It allows the buses priority when the light changes. So the bus could get through the intersection before other vehicles. And we have those throughout the district. There's one at 16th and U, and there's also one at 16th and Irving going eastbound. And we're also proposing some mid-block pedestrian improvements near GAO on H Street in the 4th Street block. So we did look at other options. There's 2 options that we have, I presented the option 1, which is no build, and then option 2, which is the selected build option, but we did look at other options, but we're not recommending them for advancement due to safety and operational concerns, but we did want to share those with you. So option 3 was full-time offset. So we really looked at this option because, as I mentioned before, there is a need for bus speeds to improve during the midday because buses are traveling slow during the AM, PM, and midday. So we looked at this as an option. It would allow us to have bus lanes all day. Full-time parking, we know that that parking is desirable for many along the corridor. So we looked at full-time parking and then putting the bus lanes right next to the parking lane. The main issue with this is that cars, because there's no turn pocket, the queuing would go on for more than a mile in the eastbound direction and more than 2 miles in the westbound direction. Also, our bus lanes, the width of the bus lane isn't wide enough. So there would be safety concerns with side swipes, the bus swiping the parked cars or vice versa. So we're not moving this option forward. And then this slide here, the reason why we're just showing this is to show the impacts of not having a turn pocket. That's the whole point, is that if you don't have a turn pocket, a place for people to designate it for people to make the left-hand turns, it causes big impacts to the network, that there's significant queuing. Option 4 was another option that we looked at. Like I said before, like we know that parking is something that we hear is very important for people along the corridor. So we looked at if we could put parking on one side of the street. This was pretty much a no-go because we know that we're not going to expand the width of the roadway. We're not going to take away space from the trees or from the sidewalks, and we just didn't have enough space. The parking lane is 7 feet, which is substandard. We need 8 feet. And also the bus lane would also be substandard at 10 feet. And so that wasn't going to work. And then also with just one lane of traffic in both directions, even with that turn pocket, there still was significant queuing in both directions. And then the last option that we looked at, option 5, which is the weave, we looked at this option as another way to address full-time bus lanes. So we could have bus lanes all day, including the midday, and also adding in that turn pocket. The main issue with this option was that from block to block, the bus lane would shift and move, and the lanes would shift and move, and that would be unsafe conditions for motorists. If you go to the next slide, you'll get a better sense of what I'm saying. So here, like with these arrows, you can see, like if you just look at each block, you can see where the red bus lane is shifting, and then the movements that it would be difficult for motorists to navigate that. So it could lead to side swipes. Like if you look at the blue line, there could be side swipes between buses and trucks, or the green line between buses and cars, and so on and so forth. So because of the safety concerns, we are not recommending this option either.
Okay.
This is my contact info. I'm leaving it here. This is also the website information. Thanks so much for pulling this up. We are taking comments through October the 29th. It's up on our website. If you want to copy this down for anybody that's on the phone, it is DDOT. If you Google DDOT bus priority and look for H Street, you can get to that page. You also can contact me. My email is spring, like the season, spring.worth@dc.gov.
Thank you, Ms. Worth. Okay, any questions from the commissioners?
I have a question. You mentioned some pedestrian improvements, and also part of this project is a Vision Zero corridor. Can you tell us a little bit more, I guess, especially with option 2, whether there are safety improvements anticipated in this project?
Yeah, so we are putting in that we're doing some improvements at that pedestrian crosswalk near GAO on H Street at 4th. And we are, that's like an improvement. We're making some improvements for bus riders at the bus stops, that we're evaluating the bus stops to make sure that they're ADA accessible and people can get on and off the buses safely. You're correct in that the Vision Zero corridor is from North Capitol to 3rd Street. So we looked at that area very closely. And those are the improvements that we're making along the corridor. And we definitely did not, as I mentioned with the other options, we definitely did not want to introduce any improvement that was going to decrease the safety along the corridor with potential crashes.
Okay, any other commissioner questions? Nope. Yep,
Yeah,
Michael?
sorry, I'm getting an echo. I do have a question. How does this proposal fit into the longer range plans for bus priority and for H Street? Specifically, is this just our first bite at the apple and that something more compelling and more sort of visionary might come in the future? Or is this kind of the best that we can get? I mean, a 15% improvement in travel times on the bus corridor isn't really a huge improvement. And it's sort of underwhelming. And I know there are a lot of constraints and a lot of competing uses on the street, but I just think about 14th Street in Manhattan and think about how much faster those buses are going and when are we going to get that sort of treatment here? And if not here on H Street now, then when and where? Would it be 7th Northwest, or would it be some other corridor? Are there bigger picture plans coming for bigger bus priority corridors? Or is this kind of all we're going to get at this point?
Yeah, so in the mayor's budget for FY22, we're now in FY22, there is support for 51 improvements. So 51 improvements along 51 corridors for bus improvements that will see bus improvements. That may include like bus lanes, TSP, queue jumps. We have a toolbox of improvements. And H Street is part of that. We have grown a lot, in the past couple of years. Now we have like HNI, Georgia Avenue, MLK. We're planning Minnesota Avenue. There's been a great expansion, but over the next 7 or 8 years, we'll have bus improvements all throughout the district in 51 different corridors. And as far as we will evaluate the performance of this corridor and see what improvements after it's been installed we can make. For the HNI, we were able to, we rolled that out in 2019. We came back and we made improvements. Now they're offset bus lanes. So we'll take a look at how this goes once we install it, and then come back out and make improvements if necessary.
Okay, great. Any other question, commissioners? I see a little hand raised. Is this for the bus, H Street bus? Marcus, you want to unmute them real quick? Do you have a question about this project? Hello, 301 number? No? Okay. Marcus, you want to move them back over, please? Okay, anyone have and rate and lower their hand? Any other questions from the public about this? Okay, I guess not. Okay, all right. Thank you, Ms. Worth, for zooming in. We appreciate your time and we look forward to better things eventually, right? improved things.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next we have from DPR, we have Chris Dyer. Marcus, if you can move Chris over, his hand raised. And Chris, if you could please be, we're going to talk about DPR issues in our ANC. Where did Chris go? There he is. Oh, Marcus, you see him? Yes. Coming over here in a second. Hey, Chris. Chris, can you speak so we can hear you? I see you're unmuted. Go ahead, Chris. Okay. Okay, one more second, Chris. Can you speak? Okay, so we're going to move on. So
no, I'm here. Sorry. Sorry, guys, that for some reason.
Okay, so let's get started.
I'm here.
So,
okay.
Do you have something to say to us initially before we can ask you questions about?
I have a formal presentation, if you don't mind me.
Okay, you can share your screen.
Fire away.
You can share your screen if you want.
Okay,
I need you to be brief and pointed, please.
I will be brief and pointed. All right, here's my wonderful presentation. First off, I want to thank you all for inviting me.
We don't see your presentation yet.
Huh.
What is happening?
No.
It's like a gremlin, a little sharing gremlin.
All right, can you? Can you see a screen now?
No, we don't see anything.
Okay, then we're just going to go off the top of the head. It was a beautiful presentation, but I can do it almost from memory.
All right, go ahead.
And I'm sure that you guys have a ton of questions for me. So basically, my name is Christopher Dyer, and I am the Community Engagement Manager for the Department of Parks and Rec. I was hired about 2.5 months ago, and one of my primary responsibilities is to be the liaison to the ANCs. So I'm your point of contact with the agency and can answer all questions. I was also a former ANC commissioner myself. I'm especially happy to be here at this commission because I walk through your commission every day when I go to work. In fact, I biked on my way through at home. And when I was a commissioner in Logan, you guys were in Ward 2. So I'm very familiar with the boundaries and the Shaw neighborhood, being a neighbor in Logan. So if you had my wonderful presentation, you would find out that the Department of Parks and Rec is the #1 ranked park system in the country. We host programming and events year-round in 243 sites and across 725 acres of green space. And we have upwards to 100 different capital improvement projects in our construction pipeline every year. We are currently accepting reservations or appointments for our fall programming. Visit DPR, visit http://dprprograms.com for information and to register for programs. We offer a variety of programs in the following: in aquatics, cultural arts, fitness, etc. We also have virtual programs as well. We also want to provide an aquatics update. As all you know, right now, all of our outdoor pools are currently closed for the season. And we do have our indoor pool hours, most notably for you guys in Dunbar. It's open on Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 and 5 to 9 and closed from 8 to 4:30 p.m. We also want to put a plug to, if you're planning a special event and need to find a location, consider doing something in Parks and Rec. In one of my favorite community engagement sessions so far, I had an adult parent come up to me and tell me that his 5-year-old has his best day ever at his birthday party in one of our parks. And then the 5-year-old also told me that he had one of his best days ever. If you're interested in doing a permit and getting a permit, please visit us at dpr.dc.com/permits or call 202-673-7647 for complete information on how to get your permit for your special event. The next thing that we were going to share is that the Ready to Play is to provide a Ready to Play update. For those of you who are not aware, we are in the process of doing a master plan for a master 20-year plan for all capital projects across the city for our agency. We issued an update in the summer that included a draft set of 4 goals with 13 strategies and 85 specific actions. There's a draft equity framework and the results of the Ready to Play citywide survey there. Visit readytoplaydc.com to provide feedback on these items. We are still accepting feedback because we are in the process of finalizing a draft capital blueprint, which will be released in the next couple of months. And I imagine that as an ANC, we would really appreciate your feedback on this Ready to Play update because it'll sort of dictate our capital improvement for the next 20 years. For those of you who do know, we did finally open up the Shaw Dog Park. And if you were seeing my screen now, you'd see a reminder that we know that dogs are parts of the family. In order to keep them and other family members safe, there are a few guidelines to keep in mind while visiting the district parks with your dogs. 1, off-leash dogs are only permitted in our dog facilities. Dogs are not permitted off-leash in the public space. Leashed dogs must be held by a person capable of managing never mind. Dogs are not permitted on natural turf or synthetic fields, athletic courts, pools, and pool areas. So as tempting as it might be in Shaw to let your dog run on the basketball court, please do not do that. Finally, also a reminder, please remember to pick up after your dog. It's required by law and fines of up to $2,000 may be issued. So that was my presentation in a nutshell. I did email the commissioner or the chair a copy of it so you can see it.
We'll put it up.
What we wanted
to put
to
up
do.
Our website. Okay, so we have some questions. I'm going to begin with Patrick. Go ahead, Patrick.
So the
Commissioner?
big that we're interested in down here in the Mount Vernon Triangle area is Cobb Park. We've got some funding allocated now, and we're sort of interested in an update on when things are going to start commencing down in Cobb Park.
Yes, well, I also noticed that Tommy Jones, you emailed Mr. Jones, my supervisor. We actually are trying to get a date for you to have the first community engagement session. And we are waiting to hear that. The good news, I don't know if you guys, for those of you who don't know, we had originally done we originally did some planning for a phase 1. We ended up getting more money. So we decided that we have to go, and instead of just doing it in 2 phases, we're going to do it all at once. And as a result, we had to find a new contractor and the new developer and put a new proposal together. But we are aware. We apologize for not getting back to you sooner, but we are looking and trying to set a date. And of course, you'll be informed.
Could you give me a sense of how long that process will take? Like, are we a matter of weeks out from knowing when, we'll select a new contractor, or is it more like a matter of months at this stage?
I don't want to be quoted and overpromise and underdeliver. I think it's weeks, it might be months, but I think it's closer to weeks than months. And I know that's a very equivocating answer, but it is soon. And we certainly have been following up on your question, certainly got us to sort of, not that we were not sitting around waiting to do something, but your inquiry got the process going a little bit more on my end to know what's going on. But we are planning it soon. We just started our fiscal year. So a lot of our capital projects will begin the community engagement phase now that we have the money to actually go forward with them.
And in a typical, so after the community engagement phase, typically how long after that does a project commence?
I don't know the word typical. I don't think there's a word typical. I don't actually know yet. I've been here for 3 months, so I couldn't tell you. But, it looks like, for example, the Anacostia Ketchum project, we started community engagement in August of 2020. We are going to HPRB next month on that, and then it might go into construction. And I don't know exactly how long it will take to build out. The Shaw Dog Park, we thought, there's a variety of factors. I don't know what the typical answer is. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Eichler.
Yeah. Hi, Christopher, Mr. Dyer. It's good to have you here. Thanks so much for and congrats on your new job. I do have some questions about some of the new facilities that have recently opened along 11th Street here in 6E01.
Okay.
I'm glad that the dog park is reopened. Thank you so much. My constituents are very happy. Apparently there was a little snafu on Sunday morning with the gates not being unlocked. It's like, surprise, you get the dog park. Sorry, we take it back the next day. But apparently that's working out. So I don't need to ask you about that per se. The one comment that I do have is that in previous conversations with DPR staff here and via email, there have been a series of concerns raised from people across the street in 2F on the other side of 11th Street about some disruptive behavior associated with the skate park. And one of the questions that I had asked was whether there are opportunities for new communications channels to be put in place, or maybe a channel within 311 that allows for complaints or concerns to be raised with loitering after hours. If someone, there have been a variety of concerns raised, and clearly I don't want anyone to have to call 911 for a noise complaint about the skate park, especially if it could be a juvenile involved. So just wondering if there are other possible communications channels that we could have in place to address concerns with the skate park or any other property that may have some concerns, especially like, Kennedy Rec often had some concerns in the parking lot with alcohol and drug use sort of in the parking lot during the day. So just, is there an opportunity there, and what might it be?
So during the day, we have a customer care line at 202-673-7647 that you can make a phone call to and report the issue. We do work mostly with MP. We do have park rangers that are out across the city, but there are not a lot of them. And they have a variety of tasks. But I would call the customer care line if it's happening during the day. Also, if you see a repeated pattern at night and you want to reach out, you can also email me directly, and I can also do stuff internally within the agency. But if you see something that's a danger, you obviously would like you to call 911. if there's a bigger problem involving that.
So, Christopher, I have a question. Maybe because I just have the number, but I have dialed a number in the past that goes directly to the Rangers. Is that just because I know that number, or is that number not public?
I don't know if that number is public. It might be
Is
that
it the Rochelle number?
it might be because you are who are a wonderful, very good and assertive commissioner probably has that number, but I don't
talk to them about 1,000 times.
Okay, so I personally do not have that number. I do not know if it's public or not. I have never asked for that number because I called Ranger Snowden because I have a cell phone if something happens. In fact, by the way, the issue with the dog parks, it's really amusing. I was when I saw the tweeting, I almost went out to open up the parks because I actually had the code. It's been resolved. There was just a hiccup with our rangers. We opened up the dog park very quickly. That is the number, is call customer care or send us an email and we can try to see what we can do. But yes.
I'll go over that number with you offline, but I've been calling that number for years. So, and they pick up.
Okay, no, please do. No, and if you want to share that number.
I don't know if it's public or not. Maybe just because they gave it to me to say, leave us alone.
Send me an email and ask.
All right, I will.
If can be released. Please do. And I'd be happy to, we're transparent. Again, I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
And I would just say that it would be helpful if there was a 311, OUC bucket where concerns about park facilities could be registered. Someone can call 24/7, submit a ticket via text, Twitter, et cetera, in order to provide, record keeping and have it be in a more centralized location. I really would appreciate if you could set up something along those lines with OUC so that we could.
Okay. I will pass that on, and I will follow up with you offline.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Dyer, I have 2 questions about the Kennedy Recreation Center.
Okay.
First, I understand that there is some money in the FY22 budget for improvements to the Recreation Center. Can you provide any details about what that might entail?
I don't know the exact details, but I know that we are going to be doing some renovation to the interior and enhancing it. And I think it's starting in the next couple of months. I don't have an exact timeline.
Is there somebody at DPR that I could follow up with?
Send me an email and I will connect you with the person to follow up with.
Okay, the second question I have about Kennedy Rec Center is one of the amenities that I appreciated about the rec center is in the northeast corner, the kind of canopied picnic area. It's a very nice space, especially during COVID when people are preferring to meet outside. However, I live on the east side of my single member district and approach the Kennedy Rec Center from the northeast, and a lot of neighbors approach the rec center from the east. And the entrance is on the west. There is a gate on the northeast corner that is always locked. I understand that there may have been security concerns at some point. I am interested in having a conversation with you and perhaps others at DPR about how we might get that gate unlocked during daytime hours so that the park and the rec center can be more accessible and more inviting for people approaching from the east side.
Perfect. Please send me an email after the meeting and I will get on and I will see what I can do.
Thank you.
That's why we're here. So, and I walked by Kennedy Rec Center as well. And, by the way, I think most of the renovation is going to be on the interior. I think the outdoor space at Kennedy is going to remain open. So, but yes.
I would just redouble Commissioner Lopez's request, and also to note that the only real pedestrian entrance to the playground area from the P Street side is actually through the curb cut, through the car entrance. So it really creating pedestrian car conflicts, not safe for people entering and exiting the park. And I also have a 311 ticket already open for a broken sidewalk. There was one of those flexi sidewalks that is now just a gravel, like 8-foot long stretch of gravel on the sidewalk. If there's anything that I can send you that 311 ticket number.
Please do.
I'll follow up with you to try to get that addressed as soon as possible.
And I have done that one too. So I think that's been submitted about 1,000 times.
Thank you, by the way, for that.
The contractor is working on it. They're a little bit short on that specific material to fill that area, but they're aware. Yeah.
Okay, so commissioners, what I wanted to also offer is that if you see something that is on the park in our facility, at our facility, we have a DGS website. We have a direct connect to the we have an internal order system through DGS to put in facility requests, repairs. If you take a picture and need something fixed, I'll send you the link, or if you'd like, I'm getting pretty adept at opening up tickets myself. And I also have the benefit of keeping an eye on that and keeping a spreadsheet and then following up directly with our in-house person who is our contact with DGS, because on occasion, DGS, we love our partners, but they have a lot of priorities. So it's nice to have a way to sort of gently nudge them.
Okay, great. All right, any questions from the community while we have Mr. Dyer here from DPR? Press *9 if you're on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature. The Kennedy Rec is very significant in our area, and of course the basketball, skate park, dog park. Any questions from the audience for DPR? No? Okay, going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right. Thank you, Mr. I will see you on the email.
Yes, I look forward to it. Thanks, guys. Please email me. I'm here for it. Bye.
Yes, goodbye. Thank you.
Well-organized meeting, by the way, guys.
Okay, thank you. See you soon. All right, so next we're going to go to Alex's Transportation Committee. And first up, we're going to have Joel Patterson with the Capital Vista project. Marcus, if you could move over, Joel. I think he was there. Oh, not Trevorris. Joel, Mr. Patterson, there you go. Hi, Mr. Patterson.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
We can. Why don't you go ahead and begin, Alex? And this is in Commissioner Rogers' area, but he had to leave the meeting.
Yeah, so this is Capital Vista, which is I'm sorry, 838 2nd Street Northwest. They approached the Transportation Committee 2 months ago regarding some issues they're having with sanitation pickup. Initial proposal would have created a curb cut. The TAC requested an alternative proposal that involved a loading zone rather than a curb cut into the sidewalk, which the applicant was able to accommodate. And that is what is being presented this evening.
Should I share my screen, Alex?
Go ahead, if you can. Some other folks have been having some issues.
Can you see?
Yes.
Great. All right, so good evening, commissioners and everyone else listening in. My name is Joel Patterson. I am representing the Capital Vista Partners team. I am a member of the Dante's Partners VP of Development, and I would like to present a short presentation on what we are looking to create at the Capital Vista site. As excuse me, as Commissioner Lopez mentioned earlier, this is the Capital Vista project. This is along New Jersey Avenue. And this is the front of the building where the project was completed in 2020, and it's recently been leased up and it's fully occupied. Currently, we've been, just to orient you, currently the site is situated along New Jersey Ave, and it fronts New Jersey and it backs up to 2nd Street. And currently we've been having some operational inefficiencies with the excuse me, waste management procedures on the site. As such, we have been looking at options to create a more efficient waste management process on our site. So as you can see here, there is existing excuse me, loading area in the back here that will be proposed for the waste management of the property off the side of 2nd Street Northwest. So just to give you an idea, this is New Jersey Avenue, and it excuse me, the back of the site is on 2nd Street Northwest here, which we have various amenities in the back. So just to give you even more, there is a loading bay here that is adjacent to the internal trash compactor and all of the facilities, back of house facilities that back up to the loading bay here. And then you have a street area that essentially we do not have any space for the maintenance of trash. So essentially trash vendors are blocking traffic when they come to pick up trash, creating congestion in the area, and it's creating backups further back all along the street. So to ease that congestion as well as the efficiencies of our operations, we're proposing a loading zone. So your loading garage will still be in the same location. None of the sidewalks or improvements to the site will be changed. The only addition will be the increase of the current stripe. As you can see, there's a current stripe in here for the curb here that supports the fire hydrant. That'll be essentially extended to support the waste management vehicles as they pick up trash throughout the week. That's essentially my presentation, trying to be really short and really simple with our request, and I'm open to any questions and or comments. Obviously, my contact information is on the screen if you do need to get in touch with me.
Okay, Mr. Patterson, thank you. We want to go ahead and take down your presentation, please. Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners?
Mr. Patterson, have you, this is in Commissioner Rogers' district, have you had an opportunity to share the updated plans with Commissioner Rogers?
Yes, the plans were shared with Commissioner Rogers,
Okay, great. Any questions from the public about this? Press *9, or if you're on the phone, or use the raise your hand feature. Nope. Okay, Alex, why don't you go ahead and make the motion since Kevin's not here?
Okay, I move that ANC 6E support Dante's Partners application for, or public space application for a commercial vehicle loading zone at 838 2nd Street Northwest. Is that the correct address?
I have to give, I think we have changed the address in our detox application. I will need to follow up with the address.
Can you email me then?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, and then communicate that support to DDOT.
Any questions about the motion? Commissioners? No. All in favor?
Oh, we need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Michael seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everyone's here. Okay, great. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson.
Good to see you. Thanks for being brief. All right. Oh, next is my area. Okay, so we're Mr. Kaplan. I need you to raise your hand or press *9. Stephen Kaplan, there he is. Roomy's Kitchen. Hooray. Okay, this is about the sidewalk cafe that actually currently exists. So it was approved via DDOT during the pandemic. Hi, Mr. Kaplan. Good to see you. It's been a minute.
I know, you're doing well.
I'm doing, congratulations on your much success with the restaurant.
Thank you.
And so now this is kind of like an official approval. We're going to enclose an unenclosed sidewalk cafe. And if for my constituents that are on the line, it's a beautiful sidewalk cafe on L Street side of 655 New York Avenue, and they're doing gangbusters business. Alex, do you have comments?
Yeah, just a minor correction. This was incorrect in the agenda that I sent you, but the request is to convert a temporary enclosed sidewalk permit to a permanent enclosed
yes, that's what I
sidewalk
thought.
permit.
That's what I did.
That's what, that's what I thought. I was like, is it both? Okay, all right, no problem. Great.
Yeah, so we had originally applied back in March of 2020 for an unenclosed sidewalk patio, expecting things to go back to normal. And of course, in August and the latter half of 2020, we ended up shutting down again. down in DC. So we built this structure outside, which as I'm talking, I'll share my screen so I can get a photo of what it looks like now. So what we ended up building, which was essential to us surviving the pandemic, we're hoping to just keep that. We spent a lot of money on it, and yes, we're busy because we have this big patio. We don't really want to lose that business. It's kind of essential to our survival right now. So we're proposing we'll apply for a permit for this exact structure that we have there under a temporary permit right now.
Okay, great. You want to go take that down, Mr. Kaplan?
Sure.
Okay, the Transportation Committee met and recommended that the ANC support this request.
Yep. Any other questions from the commissioners? Nope. Okay, any questions from the audience? Press *9 or use the raise your hand feature. This is about Roomy's Kitchen, and they're coming to us to support their temporary sidewalk cave to make it permanent. Go have some hummus. So, all right, no questions. All right, so I'm going to make a motion. I move that ANC 6E support the public space application to convert the temporary sidewalk cafe at Roomy's Kitchen at 640 L Street Northwest to a permanent sidewalk cafe, and we communicate that to this public space committee in DDOT. Any questions about the motion? Nope. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Alex seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. All right, Mr. Kaplan, I'll see ya. I haven't run into you yet. You're in Atlanta all the time.
Always in Atlanta. I'll be back up soon.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, next we have Patrick's area. The infamous K Street. Okay, Patrick.
What was that like? Ugh.
We're talking about K Street a lot. Lots of K Street action. I've yet to release my video that I
Wow, you texted it to me, so that's good enough. Let me see if I can share my screen. Is that working?
It is. Thank you.
Right. So this, of course, is a transportation committee related item, but Alex, I hope you don't mind. I'll just jump right into the resolution here. So the purpose of this resolution is essentially to point out some of the problems that we're having on K Street. The short history of this is ever since, so we did the implementation of the bike lane, and since then traffic has been in a little bit of a disarray. And in my view, that's caused by a combination of DDOT policy not being completely up to stuff and some DPW enforcement issues. So this resolution aims to sort of address both of these things. In place of some permanent parking that was on these blocks of K Street, the 400 to 600 blocks of K Street, came pickup drop-off zones. One of the really big issues we're having with drop-off zones, these PUDO zones as they're called, is that it's a little bit ambiguous about what constitutes someone being in the act of picking up and dropping off. So that's a little bit about what this paragraph is referring to. And essentially, when it's ambiguous, people are beginning to treat them like permanent parking spaces, which means that folks who are like driving Uber, for example, or Uber Eats, are ending up idling in or parking in alleyways, on the street, in the bike lane, on the sidewalk. So it's a really bad situation. So that's what this text refers to. There's a lovely picture of people. This is actually 4.5 Street. And these cars are just straight up in the street in 4.5 Street. And this happens to be an important corridor for people who live in the apartment buildings a little bit down 4.5 Street. So this is a situation where there's just cars in the way and those people can't get home, which creates more congestion, so on and so forth. So essentially, there's some recommendations here about why PUDO zones are ambiguous and some ways that DDOT could address those issues. There's a specific call out here on enforcement. What I'll hear a lot from DPW is that DDOT policy is unclear. And so in order to enforce better, they need a little bit more clear guidance. But then when you talk to DDOT, they'll point the finger at DPW saying that DPW really should do a better job enforcing. So basically this is here so that it's clear that both agencies have a role to play. And lastly, we have several of these raised bus platforms that have been installed. They've been working really great. They ensure that the bus system is more accessible. They are also raised platforms, which means that cars would not be able to park in them, as you see in this image here. There are several cars just parked in the bus lane, which also acts as a bike lane. And so we're looking for a raised platform in front of the 7-Eleven there. That's that picture to match the other raised bus platforms throughout these blocks of K Street. And then at the recommendation of the Transportation Committee, I essentially additionally added a conclusion which kind of highlights the key points of the letter. And that is the letter. Happy to chat about it some more.
So I'm in agreement, Patrick, as you, if anyone is to go down there and stand on that block for literally a minute, bedlam ensues. Am I correct, Patrick? It doesn't even take long. So, and I was down there last week and it was like literally a minute and we had the stuff in the alley, the bike lane, honking, people getting hit, and it's just awful down there. And it's unfortunate because it's such a great block. But something's gotta happen. Or someone's gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
Yep. Commissioners, any questions about this? Anyone? Michael?
I would just say I'm in support of the letter and highlighting all of the challenges that are currently happening along K Street as a cyclist that uses that corridor as well as crosses through it regularly on my normal commute to work. Even now, I constantly see the lanes blocked and it's not safe. And so we need some rational spaces to make sure that all the needs, the competing needs, have the space to do the things that they need to do, and make sure that pedestrians and bicycles are prioritized as part of that process. So appreciate the letter being brought to the commission today.
Yep. Okay, anything else? Patrick, can you take this down, please?
Oh, sure.
I'll just say one thing really quickly. Patrick, I think that this is a great letter, and I appreciate the way that you're approaching DDOT. These types of projects, oftentimes DDOT doesn't get it right the first time, right? And so we have this iterative process, and this is absolutely the type of feedback that I feel like the ANC needs to be providing in order to get this bike lane from being pretty good, but having some serious, some critical issues to really serving the community in the way that it was initially envisioned. So kudos to you on taking this effort and incorporating a lot of comments from your constituents.
For sure.
Great, thank you. And we have a couple hands up here in the audience. Go ahead if you want to unmute Marcus. Gordon, please. Hi, Gordon.
Hello again. I wanted to speak as a resident who uses this from 7th all the way through to 1st Northeast every day to skateboard commute. Especially appreciate the raised bus island because as all of you have described, any space where there's not physical protection preventing people from parking there, people are just parking or idling, deliveries, Pudo, lots of different uses. Yeah, just like I said, I think it's a great bike lane, great start, but these challenges need to be addressed.
Thanks,
Okay, great.
I appreciate that.
Okay, next we have Marcus. I'm going to move him out and move in Monty Host. Hi, Monty.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So I actually live on
the 400 block of K Street. And I understand that bike safety is very important. And I heard the young man say he commutes to work that way. But I have elderly parents and I have friends that, you know, do not live in a city or still drive cars. We had bike lanes and then we had parking. Is there any way that we could get some parking back?
Right. I think this is there's definitely, this is like the question of push and pull. I think at the moment there is not a plan to bring those back. And the DDOT folks I've spoken to basically are the refrain folks go back to is if you're in a building which has a parking option, folks can pay for that.
And and Patrick, yes, I pay for parking. But there are no visitor parking spaces in my building or any building on that street. So what are our visitors supposed to do? Especially during COVID, I don't want my parents jumping in an Uber, coming over and potentially catching COVID when they can just drive over.
Absolutely. Yeah, so other than that, the go-to thing would be the large parking lots, which have parking at a premium, to be frank about it. But aside from that, there are a few residential RPP spaces around the neighborhood, which I'd be happy to talk to you about if that is an option. If your folks have like Ward 6 parking, there are a few spots that are walking distance.
Okay, thank you, Monty. Next, we have Sarah H. Hey, Sarah.
Hello? Can
Hi.
you hear me?
Yep.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. So I'm a resident at 475 K Street Northwest. I also happen to be the board president here as well. So I know that I have certainly a mandate from the residents here in this building to speak up and really foot stomp the need to address this problem. Ever since K Street was kind of reimagined, I mean, it's been a growing problem, and it's really sort of it's become untenable because we do have a lot of cars idling in the alleyway in our building, and it really does block people's ability to get in and out of the garage. So it's creating backups. It's also creating problems in the area where people are walking across the street in that crosswalk. So, I mean, I would flag and underscore foot stomp, I guess, a number of safety concerns as a result of this. And there's not a lot that we can do by way of enforcement because people oftentimes, you know, they're not only idling, but a lot of times they're actually just parking their car and walking away. So even if you wanted to, you know, say something, there's no one there. So just fully support the letter here, and thank you for kind of raising this issue. That's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, and last, our constituent that hangs on to the bitter end always, Elena. You have a question, Elena? Marcus will move you over.
Yes, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to talk to you. And it's not 11 o'clock yet. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And Commissioner Parlish, thank you so much for the letter. I am representing Mount Carmel Baptist Church, close to 3rd and K. And I just wanted to add or recommend that we have better signage at that crosswalk right in front of 307 K Street, which oftentimes it is not, motorists don't slow down when individuals are in the crosswalk. They may slow down if traffic is heavy on K Street at that time, but it's also quite risky because there's not prominent signage or lighting to be seen at that moment. I've had a few incidents where I was almost sideswiped by automobiles on that particular crosswalk. So I just wanted to recommend that. I'm not sure if other residents have had issues, but during daytime hours, it can be a little hairy with that crosswalk. But thanks again for the letter.
All right, thanks, Elena.
Elena.
All right, why don't you go ahead and make the motion, Patrick?
I move that ANC 6E support. Sorry, let me just pull it back up here. I move that ANC 6E support the letter titled Traffic Safety and Parking Issues on the 400 to 600 block of K Street Northwest and communicate this letter / resolution to DDOT and DPW.
Okay, any questions about the motion, commissioners? No. Do I have a second? Michael seconds. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Denise, we hear you, Denise. Aye, right. Okay. Okay, so thank you, Patrick. That's great. And so, Michael, we did have, I don't know, is our librarian April King still on? Press *9 or use the raise your hand feature. This is about a really quick one in Michael's area about a street closure for Halloween party. Okay, Michael, the pleasure is yours. I don't feel uncomfortable doing a quick motion if it's just for this Halloween party. What do you? It's up to you though.
Well, I don't know. So, I think it's fine. I didn't write up some notes, so I'll just have to wing it. But
She wrote that letter. She wrote us that little paragraph.
Well, yeah, but it was unclear what the plan actually was.
Oh, okay. So it's up. If you don't want to do it, then we don't. It's up to you. I leave it to you.
Well, I think we can skip it, and
okay.
You know, I'd like some more clarity on what the plan is.
That's
and
fine. I'm
follow
that's
up
fine.
Directly
You're,
with that.
And she was here earlier. I don't know where she went, and that's too bad. So, okay. So next we have PEPCO, and in all transparency, I work for PEPCO, and they are coming here to talk about the Mount Vernon Connected Communities Initiative. I see Marcus, if you can move over. I see Donna Cooper, who is president of PEPCO, and Trevoris Culpepper, and Jamal Jordan, and I think I saw Ivan Lanier. So we got everyone. Oh, we have Susan Marinelli too. Wow. We've got some people on this call tonight.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, does Donna want to speak at all or no? Donna, can you raise your hand if you want to speak, or Jamal or any of these other folk? No? There's Donna. Where did Susan go? Go ahead and move over Donna Cooper. There's Susan. Go ahead, Marcus, move over Donna Cooper and Susan Marinelli in case they want to speak. Hi, PEPCO. Go ahead, Trevoris, and if you have a presentation, you can go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, I can share my screen right now. Can everybody see that?
We can.
Let's start. Okay, well, thank you all very, very much. I promise to be brief. I know this is the end of the ANC meeting, but I wanted to come before you all to, again, my name is Trevoris Culpepper with PEPCO, and wanted to talk about the Mount Vernon Connected Communities Roadmap. And just to give you all a little bit of background, as many of you all know, the Mount Vernon substation was approved by the Public Service Commission in 2019. We've since started construction at the Mount Vernon substation. And a part of that approval with the Public Service Commission, we were approved also to actually install a battery, actually to defer the fourth transformer at the substation. And as a result of that, we have entered into a partnership with the Department of Energy and Environment to implement what we're calling the Connected Communities Roadmap. And this is actually to find innovative solutions to actually defer that fourth transformer and also install additional technologies in the neighborhood. And really the purpose of us doing this roadmap is really to identify additional emerging technologies and look at how those technologies can assist us in, deferring the fourth transformer at the Mount Vernon substation, and then also, of course, modernizing the local energy grid, and then, of course, contributing to the clean energy future. And we really want to build this framework that is needed to actually install the transformer, actually install the battery to the substation once it is complete. And then also looking at additional technologies to implement as well. And that's really the need of the roadmap. And part of our initiative in order to do this, it really hinges on the criticality of community input, because we do understand that those emerging technologies that we want to implement, we want to make sure that it is something that the community can actually use and need. And we want to hear from the community as well to understand what is appropriate and what the community wants as far as those additional technologies. And then our next step is looking at how feasible these technologies are to install once we get that feedback from residents. And then part of our input and feedback will be reaching out to subject matter experts who are well-versed in the smart cities initiatives to get any additional technical feedback from them on some of these additional technologies that could be included as part of this initiative. And so in long and short, this is a roadmap that will serve as a guide to identify what additional technologies can be included as part of this Connected Communities initiative. And some of the examples of some of the solutions that could be included and what we've done in the past in other areas have been, for example, Wi-Fi kiosks, smart city sensors, electric vehicle charging stations, and also solar paneling as well. And then a host of different things such as energy efficiency measures, and then also energy efficiency programs. And I should add that we, talk with other stakeholders in the area, and most recently ANC 6E, and we got feedback about resiliency centers as part of this project that could be included, where if there was an outage, for example, or any sort of event that did result in an outage, you would have a place to go to heat up your food, charge your phone, or other or also ensure that your medical devices are can be used during that time. So we're taking a lot of feedback from residents, and this is our hope as part of this roadmap is to receive that feedback. But these are some of the possible solutions that could be included in this roadmap. And again, there are a lot of community benefits. Of course, once the substation is complete, you will have more capacity on the system, but also part of this initiative will allow us to, create sustainability through our energy efficiency, of course, provides safe and clean and reliable electricity, and then also, look at ways to create eco-friendly enhancements to the environment and to the facility in a safe manner. So there are benefits to this initiative. And then also, of course, this does, we do look at this as an enhancement or part of the clean energy goals of the District of Columbia as well. So we do view this project as aiding to that a district-wide initiative. And of course, we do want to have community input. Again, like I stated before, we are deferring that for transformer, installing the battery, but additional technologies can be included. And so that community feedback is critical. What you'll see us doing is reaching out, of course, to a lot of the stakeholders in the area, of course, district leadership, which includes the ANC, council members, MOKers, property managers, businesses, retailers, other organizations, and as I stated before, subject matter experts who are well versed in the smart city initiatives and energy efficiency programs, as well as environmental justice organizations as well. So we're looking at, various stakeholders to include, but more importantly, we definitely want the feedback of residents as part of this initiative. And we have so far met with ANC members. We have a Mount Vernon CAG as well that we've initially got feedback from. And then we're looking to engage property managers as well as residents moving forward. And so we hope to collect this feedback from stakeholders throughout the fall and then follow back up with residents and businesses and others in the area January of next year with the feasibility of what technologies could be included as part of this initiative. I did want to point out that, again, we are reaching out to a host of individuals and stakeholders. And our first community meeting on this initiative is October 18th at 6:30. You will see mailers go out to residents in the area, and they should receive those either this weekend or the beginning of next week. And so it will go out to all residents within the ANC area, but we will continue our engagement with property managers, businesses, as well as the other stakeholders in the area. And we would definitely want to solicit the ANC's support with reaching out to those residents. When we'll provide a flyer, and we will have ongoing community meetings each and every month throughout the fall. And so we would like to, solicit your support in ensuring that your constituents and residents are aware of these community meetings. And we will also go door to door in the areas that are appropriate as far as with the residential houses within the ANC to make sure that we are providing that notice to folks. So that was very brief. I wanted to thank you all for your time and answer any questions that you have.
That was brief, Trevorris. I applaud you. Thank you. So, Alex, or Trevorris, can you take down the presentation, please? Do you want me to do it? There we go. Okay. So, Alex, go ahead. You had asked them to come to our meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Trevorris, and thank you to the rest of the folks that attended from PEPCO. For the ANC 60 residents on the line, I want you to pay particular attention to this project. The Connected Communities project has the potential to deliver large amount of benefits to our community in the form of clean energy resources, things like rooftop solar, things like community resilience centers, things like energy efficiency, investments that will be made in our community over the next several years in order to avoid a significant expansion of the Mount Vernon Street substation, or Mount Vernon Square substation, rather. So this is a program that's worth getting engaged in. It's worth staying engaged in. And if successful, what the kind of the theory of these non-wires alternative initiatives is that rather than the utility making a big capital investment and then billing the ratepayers for that substation expansion, the utility is actually investing in the community and investing in clean energy resources. And so let's work with PEPCO, let's work with DOEE, Department of Energy and Environment, who is also a partner in this project, to make sure that this project is creating benefits for our community. So just wanted to emphasize the importance of this project. It does seem technical, but the benefits will be tangible.
Okay, do we?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And we definitely want the feedback of residents, so your support will be very vital. So thank you.
All right, any, Donna Cooper or Susan Marinelli, do you have anything to say briefly?
Yes, so just wanting to thank you for the opportunity to present. One of the things I always highlight is that we are presenting this to you, but as Trevor shared, this will be long-term. So we definitely want the community and stakeholder engagement. We will be hosting community meetings and really want the feedback and the exchange and the inputs and injections from the community. As the ANC Commissioner Alex Lopez shared, is that one key aspect of this is the fact that you have technologies and benefits that will really be responsive to the community's interests. So it's about shaping those particular areas and looking at new technologies, new ideas. So we look forward to the ongoing engagement and how we can manage the community's energy usage in order to reduce the carbon footprint, as well as reduce costs to customers, and looking at novel ways in which we can implement these technologies as opposed to some of the traditional asset investments that we have done. So looking at this as an opportunity to be able to replicate this in other parts of the District of Columbia as well. So it's a roadmap and it's a plan, but we want that stakeholder and community involvement to take us to that next stage. So thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Donna. All right, any other questions from the commissioners about this? Nope. Okay, any questions from the community about this program? Press *9 or use the raise your hand feature. More information to come, I'm sure. Okay, no questions. Trevorris will keep in touch with us and come back again. So
Yes, we will, and we will have launching our website very soon for this initiative, and then we'll have additional collateral to share with residents very soon. So I will share that with the ANC, and again solicit your support with sharing that information with your constituents. So thank you.
Okay,
again.
great. Thank you, everyone, for zooming in from PEPCO. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Marcus, you go ahead and move them out. And then the last thing we have to vote on is retraction for we had approved a grant last month for Judah's project. It was not approved by the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commission. So it is terribly unfortunate. But there it is. So this is in Michael's area.
Yeah, Chair Niger, I do have a question. Do we have to vote to retract this, or can we just let it stand? Is that we've supported it, even if ONC doesn't move it forward? I mean, I'd like to still be on record as supporting this application.
Well, that's the advice that we were given to do it. Honestly, I don't, Frank, what do you think? Frank's the treasurer. We've gone down this route before when people have been denied grants. It is horrible.
It's common. Yeah, it doesn't make you feel good when you vote for it and you're hoping you can do something positive for the neighborhood. But once the Office of ANC state that we can't do it, it's like it's a done deal. We can't write the checks for it.
Yeah, I think just
Sure. So then why do we have to repeal our vote? Can't we just let our support for it stand?
This is what I was told. This is what I was told to do.
I think it might be because we're supporting this grant application, those funds are now encumbered and we can't use them for other purposes. Is that correct?
I was just told to do this. They said, do this motion. This is what I was advised.
Do we have any opportunity for appeal? Is there an appeal process?
The team members from Judah Project had actually talked with, at that time, Gottlieb Simon, who's no longer with the Office of the ANC, and also had addressed with Charles Allen. And am I missing anyone else, Commissioner Eichler?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So as I said, and Frank and I have been down this road before
Yeah.
several times. It is terribly unfortunate. But this is not the first time this has happened with the commission where we have voted to support and the government has said no.
Mhm.
So I would feel
think that-
comfortable doing, go ahead, Frank, I'm sorry.
I think the root cause
But
of their
are we
rejection,
aware of an appeal?
I think the root cause of
process?
their rejection is
I'm sorry,
they
Frank,
want
go ahead.
the ANC to be able to affect multiple constituents across multiple SMDs, and not just maybe one MD or just maybe 25, 30 people. They want us to be able to affect the outcome of masses of people throughout the ANC. So that's their reasoning.
That was the bullet point, so. Have you heard
Okay,
from Mr. White lately, Commissioner Eichler, or no?
No, I haven't. And in the interest of time, I'm just going to move that ANC retract its support for the grant application for the Judah project per conversation that we've had with OANC.
Okay.
Can I,
Go ahead.
Patrick,
Motion on the
can I,
floor.
would you,
There's a motion
would you
on the floor.
entertain?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Frank seconds.
Question? Sorry, but now,
Yeah,
Alex, go ahead.
I know you got the process right this time. Would you entertain a motion to table this until next month, given I don't think there's any immediate need to move on this? I am very curious on what opportunities we have perhaps to appeal this decision. And it's not clear to me that we know what that avenue might be.
I think it was pretty clear to us. I don't think it wasn't like it was, as Frank just said, the purpose of it did not affect many people. It affected only, was it 20, Michael? Less than that, 20 people they were gonna have?
I'd have to refer
There
back
must be
to
some
grant
appeal
application.
Yeah, it was like something like, and so that, I don't want us to
course.
waste time for the organization if I think this is the hard no. That's it. I mean, it's
Well,
over.
we voted this. We just voted to support this last month. If
I know,
there's an
and-
opportunity to appeal it, which we don't know whether there
Don't have to
is,
find a say.
I think that we should at least do our due diligence.
And I would say that I've done the diligence of reviewing the ANC handbook, and it has rules in there and guidelines for grants, and it states that grants that the ANC issues must have broad community impact. And this does not direct broad community impact. And this grant application, unfortunately, has very, very narrow direct community impact, but it does potentially have broad indirect community impact, but that was not a compelling argument for OANC. So given the refresher that I received on the rules, I feel comfortable having made this motion, though, again, as I noted before, I probably would have preferred for the grant to go forward, but given what the handbook had stated, here we are.
Yep, it's terribly sad. Okay, so who seconds? I'm sorry.
I did.
Frank second. Okay, all in favor of the motion on the table? Aye. Michael, Alex, what's your vote? Are you a no?
Opposed.
Okay, so one no from
No.
Alex Lopez. No,
Yeah.
what? Yes. One no from Alex. Okay, all right, motion passes. Thank you, Commissioner Eichler. Okay, so then we have the approval of the minutes. Commissioner Eichler, we now have a Teams. Now we're on the Teams and move that to Karen. Karen has the corrected version. Any other questions from the commissioners about the minutes from September? Nope. Okay. Someone want to make a motion?
I'll
Okay.
move to approve the minutes from the September meeting.
Okay, any questions about the motion?
Second.
Okay, Patrick seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alex?
Aye.
Aye, okay, great, thank you. All right, Frank's up.
All right, treasurer's report for September, the fiscal year for 2020 21 is now ended. And we're beginning the new fiscal year for 21-22. For September, our beginning balance began at $50,206.64. We spent $485.86. All 4 checks have been processed, cashed, leaving us a balance of $49,720.78. I move the ANC support when they accept the true balance, which also equals the same bank statement for the month of September. So the treasury report equals the bank statement. All funds are accounted for. Allotments have been given for twice this year, I believe. And the last allotment was given in August 31st, which is cleared the bank. So our balance for it is $49,720.78. I move the ANC 60 support the balance forward of 49, or accept the balance forward of $49,720.78, provided I can get a second.
Any questions about the motion? Phillips, do we have a second? From anyone?
Second.
Okay, Denise seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Frank, this is for the treasury report, this month's report?
Yes, this is the treasury report.
Okay. Aye.
Aye. Okay, and thank you, Frank. We did have a flurry of emails at the end of the fiscal year.
Yes,
So
I was actually going to get to that. We had communication, Rochelle and I had communication with Dawn Dickinson. She made some corrections in the checking account spreadsheet that went all the way back to 2017, which in turn affected our beginning balance for F1 and F2, well, F1, 21, Q1, and Q2. So they required me as the treasurer to sign up for the corrections, which I did. And I FedEx that or scanned that back to Dawn, and then she approved our financial reports or quarterly reports for the year. I sent you an email with all the 4 quarter reports. So they now equal what it should equal as far as beginning balances, ending balances, and the final quarter Q4 equals $49,720.78. So I'll need to get signatures for Rochelle and
Michael.
Actually, well, actually, I think it requires the secretaries.
Oh, so Alex, okay.
Yeah, so Alex will have to sign. So I'll scan it and email it to you guys so you can sign off on it. So we can get Q4 finalized and approved by the Office of ANC. I've already sent them copies of checks. So all of that's been approved. So we just got to go through the protocol of approving these quarterly reports, which I have in your email. So I move the ANC 60 support the FY21 Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, finalizing the fiscal year through September 31.
Any questions? Okay, any questions about the motion? Gentlemen, Denise has left the meeting, Karen. Nope, no questions, okay. Do we have a second? Michael seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you.
Almost done.
We're almost done, Frank. Thank you, Frank, for last week. That was great.
Expenses. I move the ANC 60 support $250 payment to Karen Yaley for her services rendered monthly, which includes the meeting minutes and the website. Provided I can get a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alex? I think Alex is frozen. Alex?
Yeah.
I think he's frozen.
Yeah.
Aye.
Oh, for Alex? Okay,
Okay.
Alex is aye. Okay, motion
And
passes. Thank you.
Finally, I move the ANC 60 support the payment to Rochelle Nigro of $164.29 for the reimbursement of Zoom meeting costs for this month.
Any questions about the motion? Michael seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, great. All right. We're at the end. Okay, so any announcements from anyone? The commissioners, from the public, raise your hand or press start. For Karen's sake, we're at the end of the meeting. You're gonna kill me. All right, no announcements from anyone? From the people who are left? Nope. Okay.
I have an
Oh,
announcement.
Yep.
On Wednesday, November 3rd at 10:30 a.m., the DC Council will hold a hearing to consider the ceremonial renaming of the Wiltberger Street Northwest Alley Complex, which is a resolution that John Shaw, one of my constituents, brought forward to this ANC and we passed. So November 3rd, put that in your calendar. I'm going to be introducing a resolution in support, a testimony in support at our November meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you, Alex. That's good. Great. I'm glad that's all coming together finally. Okay, everyone, that's it then. So I move that our next meeting is going to be November 2nd. I move that we adjourn the October ANC 6E meeting.
Second.
Second, Michael seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for zooming in. It's been a delightful time, and thank you. And we're a little bit earlier than last month. So. Only a couple more times as me as chair, Karen. So, okay, everyone. Goodbye. Be safe, everyone. Goodbye.